Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about here. I mean, dear God, that kicker, every time he went out there, I was like, okay, well, there's no way he's making this. He can barely walk out on the field. Every time he kicked, he's just... Kicker wins the game for the Chargers. Obviously, there's some fantasy football takeaways. Personally, my favorite thing about this is, y'all know we said in every single video over the past 2 days, I think 3 videos probably got like 150,000 views, to take the under on Courtland Sutton, at 67.5 receiving yards. A lot of people told us, Mason, you're just a hater. Mason, why would we ever do that? Courtland Sutton ends with 14 receiving yards. So for the people who ride with us, we're going to keep on in those hot streaks with those player props. Hopefully you took the Courtland Sutton under 67.5. God knows the last time I missed a Monday night player prop. Yeah, we got Isaac saying out here that he took the under. That is awesome. And of course, thank you so much for everybody coming out to the live stream. If you have not done so already, you know what I'm going to ask. Drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And yeah, I'm going to actually keep this live stream up. If y'all don't know, we live stream every single day on YouTube, answering fantasy football questions. I've not missed a day in well over 100 days. So don't you believe, don't you think we were going to miss a day until the end of this season? We will go straight until the end of the year. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell. And I am also going to start leaving these up after the Monday night games, because I want to go through, I want to do a quick little recap of what just happened here as I set this stream up. And if we are looking at Denver, after the first quarter, I was like, oh my gosh, is Russell Wilson a viable quarterback? Is Russell Wilson okay? Is Russell Wilson cooking? What is going on here? And then, of course, Wilson ended up just being a fraud. It looked like it was just the usual pre-scripted plays that you have going into a game that Wilson was able to nail down. Wilson was able to go through, complete 10 passes in a row. And then when they had to get off their first 10, 15 scripted plays, whatever it was, then Russell Wilson collapsed into the game. Wilson, 28 attempts, doesn't even crack 200 passing yards, only 1 passing touchdown. What's very interesting is the usage of the running backs in Denver, where Latavius Murray looks like the starter. But honestly, Melvin Gordon dealing with an injury on top of this. The reason we said not to start Melvin Gordon this week isn't because I thought that, oh, okay, well, dear God, Melvin Gordon is a running back that's going to be behind Latavius Murray. No, it's because I thought that this was going to be a 3-man running back by committee in Denver, where you had a little bit of Melvin Gordon, a little bit of Latavius Murray, a little bit of Mike Boone. That kind of happened. Of course, you had the majority going over to Latavius. So even if Melvin Gordon's fully healthy going forward, I don't necessarily think that Melvin Gordon is going to be someone, that Latavius Murray is going to be someone that you can go through just jamming your starting lineup every single week. I think, hell, it's going to be that split, nasty backfield that one way or another, it's going to be very hard to figure out who you should be starting at Denver with these running backs. Jerry Jeudy, the guy we said to sell Courtland Sutton for, ended up being the wide receiver 1 here in Denver. But anyway, going over to the Chargers side of it, yeah, Mike Williams just got shut down. Surtain was over the entire game. Austin Eckler rushing didn't really matter. 14 carries, 36 rushing yards. But at the end of the day, when the man gets 10 receptions, he is a cheat code in a PPR format. We talked about this coming into the season, about Austin Eckler being an elite level offense where you would have touchdown upside at the same time where you would get that usage in the receiving game. So the man goes through and drops 23 fantasy points and even a bad game. So not too much to take away. Hopefully we get back Keenan Allen this week. Definitely not a guarantee by any means, but hell, if Keenan Allen comes back week 7, probably should be able to find targets easily in this offense, or at least that's what I would assume. Joshua Palmer had a great day today. But I think that should be about it for the recap. Let's go through. Let's answer as many of these questions as we can. But real quick, thank you for everybody coming out. We just hit 100 likes on the stream. Let me actually pull up this live stream on my phone real quick so we can go down there and drop a like. And if you want to check out any of these player props on Underdog Fantasy, you can find the link in the live chat. You can find it in the description of the video. Find it in the comment section. Hopefully everybody's already signed up for Underdog with promo code FLOCK because they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100 with promo code FLOCK. Hopefully you took our under of Courtland Sutton at 67.5 yards today. But that should be it. Let's go through. Let's dive into this. Ray Gunn says thoughts on Adam Thielen in a full PPR format. Full PPR, I think is going to be a depth wide receiver 3 for you. Maybe is viable as we go through the bye weeks. Reality, someone I'm not too excited about. Brooks Emery says, should I trade Keenan and Pickens for Devonta Smith and Dameon Pierce? I mean, I was not a big Dameon Pierce guy coming into the season. To be honest with you, even when Dameon Pierce started crushing it weeks 1, 2, I was sitting here going, okay, even though Dameon Pierce looks great, at the end of the day, he's not catching passes and he's playing in one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I don't want a first and second down running back playing for the Houston Texans. So we said not start Dameon Pierce as a running back 1. He looks like a low-end running back 1. He looks like a high-end running back 2 at this point. He has been crushing it. I think you have to take Dameon Pierce and Devonta Smith over Keenan Allen and George Pickens. Andrew says, just traded Hockenson, Olave, and Dobbins for Godwin and Kenneth Walker. 10-team full PPR flog up, baby. Thank you, my man. So obviously, you'd rather have Kenneth Walker over J.K. Dobbins. I mean, we said last week to sell Olave for someone like Chris Godwin. So then we're getting an upgraded receiver and running back. We're paying T.J. Hockenson to sweeten the deal. So I think it's a good deal if you have enough tight end depth, enough tight end production to go around where you're not going to be missing too much of Hockenson. But NBA says Josh Reynolds or Kenyon Drake in the flex full PPR week 7. My friend, damn near impossible for me to answer this without seeing the actual injury reports for checking up. If Dobbins does not play, of course you go Kenyon Drake. I am not excited about Josh Reynolds at all. I honestly think there should be significantly more appealing options on the waiver wire for you this week. You're getting back Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, not only are you getting back Amon-Ra St. Brown, but at the same time, you're getting back TJ Chark. You're getting back DeAndre Swift. You have so many players coming back to Detroit that we should probably just go through and, where we can, look to avoid someone that's not that talented like a Josh Reynolds. So please, let's go through. Drop Josh Reynolds. Don't think that you can go ahead and start him going forward. It's just not going to happen here, my man. It's just not going to happen here. Now our next donation coming out from Nicholas. Thank you, my man. Says 1 in 5 rate the 12-team league. We got a quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa coming back this week. Lawrence, Jefferson, Chase. Okay, we have Jefferson and Chase. I don't know how this team's freaking 1 in 5. Deontay Cooks, Bateman, Robbie Anderson, Robert Tonyan. Running backs, we have Dobbins, Kamara, Walker, Rashad White. Made some insane trades due to your buy low videos trying to grab Jonathan Taylor now. Okay, my man. I don't know if you're telling us your record's 1 in 5 or rate this team 1 in 5. I'm assuming it's your record. And I agree, Jonathan Taylor is an intriguing buy low candidate. However, if you are 1 in 5, you are now entering in must-win territory. You need to change your mindset. Instead of thinking the long-term upside you maybe have with Jonathan Taylor, you need to go through, you need to say, I need points in my lineup today. You're not out of it if you're 1 in 5. You still have a shot. It's a small one, but you can still win. You just got to start winning games today. Please, the last thing I want you to do is go trade away. I mean, a healthy running back scoring you points to go get someone injured on a 1 in 5 roster in particular. I like the team in a 12-team format where we have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker. I don't really know how we're 1 in 5. I think we probably start winning games sometime soon, but maybe I'm misunderstanding this record. But Sean says, am I safe to ride ETN as a running back 2? Hall's my running back 1, and I'm stacked elsewhere. I would say, yeah, Travis Etienne's most likely a top 24 running back for a 12-team PPR format at this point. I mean, the man just looks good. He looks good. He's played 6 NFL games in his entire NFL career. So I think that you assume that he continues to get better. Specifically in a PPR format, I'd feel comfortable. Non-PPR, I think you have to be a little bit more worried. Now, Sharp says, what's Hopkins' value with the Brown injury? Should we trade Devonta Smith for him? Hell yes, my man. I've had DeAndre Hopkins on a buy low video for pretty much a month straight now. I am very surprised you're still able to go through and trade Devonta Smith for him. That's something we could have done a couple of weeks ago. Tell me we can do that now? Hopkins is a top 12 wide receiver. He's locked and loaded. Probably a top 10 receiver with the Hollywood Brown injury. But really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 200 likes in the stream. If you have not done so yet, please go down there and drop a like in the live stream. Now, Batmax says, should I try to send Cooks for Jerry Jeudy? I mean, I like Jeudy more than Cooks coming into the season just because we knew that Houston was going to be very bad. So it was going to severely cap Brandon Cooks' ceiling. I mean, I thought that Courtland Sutton was a little bit overvalued. So I was like, okay, I'll take Jerry Jeudy, the few rounds discount. But I don't know. I mean, it just looks like Denver's horrendous. Remove the first drive for the Denver Broncos today. Russell Wilson looks like he may indeed be the worst starting quarterback. Obviously, that is hyperbole. That is exaggeration. He is not the worst starting quarterback, but he's pretty damn bad. I mean, the Denver Broncos have scored the fewest points on average in the entire NFL. It's hard for me to go, yeah, we don't like Brandon Cooks. He's playing in a bad offense. Let's go trade for one of Russell Wilson's receivers. It's really hard for me to say that. Talis says, dude, why does Sony Michel get so many opportunities? Also, what's the waiver wire order for Robbie Anderson, Kenyon Drake, and Wan'Dale Robinson? Yeah, so obviously, Robbie Anderson now going over to Arizona is significantly more appealing. Would have included him on the waiver wire video this morning if we would have had knowledge yesterday that Robbie Anderson was going over to Arizona with DeAndre Hopkins being the only other wide receiver outside of Rondale Moore commanding targets. I would still probably... Can I plead the fifth on this one, my man? You don't have to claim waivers until we get practice reports tomorrow. So I would really like to revisit this question once we get reports coming out of New York about Wan'Dale, about Tony, about Golladay. When we get reports coming out of Baltimore, specifically about Dobbins, I'm going to plead the fifth here. I'm going to plead the fifth. We can revisit it tomorrow when we have more information at our disposal. But Joseph says, need to pick up a quarterback because of the Jalen Hurts bye. Need a defense because San Francisco is playing the Chiefs. Rank, who would you drop out of Melvin, Dobbs, Taysom Hill, and George Pickens? Okay, so obviously if these are the worst guys on our roster, right? The very bottom end of your roster, we should not be thinking of the median outlook. We should not be thinking of the median projection when it comes to these players. We should be thinking about the highest ceiling possible and how one of these guys could potentially turn into a league winner for us. We've already seen that ceiling for Taysom Hill. I mean, Dalton Schultz, not something we can be super confident at this moment. We're not dropping Taysom Hill. With George Pickens, I'd say his ceiling is going to be capped in Pittsburgh just simply because he has target competition in both Deontay and Claypool, and it's a piss-poor offense. Like, Dobbs has some target competition, but at least he has Rodgers you can attach. I would say Gordon's probably the drop. Then after that's probably Pickens, then Romeo Dobbs. I don't really want to drop any of these guys, but if we have to, and please, everybody, don't think to run out there and drop Melvin Gordon right away. I think a big thing with Melvin Gordon and the disappointing week this week was just the injury that he had. I am still worried about Melvin Gordon as we were previously because we were saying that this could be a 3-man running back by committee where it's very hard to be confident about anybody coming in. I still stand by that statement. I don't think Melvin Gordon's a drop. I think that honestly, when he's fully healthy, maybe he plays over Latavius Murray, but we will see. We'll see. Now, Robbie says, Mason, I traded Lockett and Dobbins for A.J. Brown. Love it, my man. Love it. I mean, you know, we were saying to move off of Lockett and Metcalf this past week because I wasn't buying into Geno Smith here as a top 10 quarterback in passing yards rest of season. So I really do like that, my man. I like that. Now, Logan says trade Sutton or Olave for Aaron Jones. My man, are you kidding me here? We're talking about trading Sutton? You're speaking my language. You're the right place to be asking if we should trade Courtland Sutton for Aaron Jones. Oh, yes, my man. Let's go through. Let's trade Courtland Sutton for Aaron Jones. I don't need to overthink that at all. Okay. So now our next donation coming out from Joel. Thank you, my man. Says, have not lost a game. Team is stacked. We got Kyler, Mixon, Barkley, Evans, Diggs, Hawkinson, Sutton, Mike Williams, Nick Chubb, Kenneth Walker. Which running back should be traded? Also, do you prefer St. Brown or Lamb rest of season? Any trade suggestions? I would say on an undefeated team where we're really just thinking about maybe the last month at this point, trying to project out for the fantasy football playoffs. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably more appealing for the upcoming weeks. However, if we're projecting out way far in advance, we have to remember you're going to get Dak Prescott back. And in the case of the Detroit Lions, you will have Jameson Williams coming into this offense. So I would prefer Lamb over St. Brown at the very end of the season, even if I think St. Brown outscores him over the next few weeks. And if we're looking to trade a running back between Mixon, Barkley, Chubb, Kenneth Walker, I don't want to. I mean, I guess if we could trade Nick Chubb and go get Kelsey, go get Andrews on a team that's absolutely loaded, we could. I don't think we're going to get that value for someone like Mixon. I don't think we're going to get the value for someone like Walker either. And I definitely want to be keeping Barkley. Now, real quick, we are about at 300 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody coming out and hanging out with us. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Help us get to 300 here. Now, Kevin says 5-1 with Amari Cooper as my wide receiver 3. Should I look to trade him for someone like DK Metcalf or Courtland Sutton, or hold until Watson gets back? I mean, hell yeah, I would trade Amari Cooper for DK Metcalf in the short term. I mean, even in the long term, I think DK Metcalf has a very high ceiling here. I mean, trust me. I think Deshaun Watson comes in eventually and he's a top 5 quarterback in fantasy. I don't know. I still probably prefer Metcalf over Amari. Adrian says, I traded Debo, Sutton, James Robinson for Kirk, Godwin, and Dak. So going from Debo Samuel to Christian Kirk, clear downgrade. Or let's call it Debo Samuel to Chris Godwin, clear downgrade. Going from Courtland Sutton to Christian Kirk, I would call it a lateral move. Everybody else who's in love with Courtland Sutton would say it's an upgrade. And then going from, say, James Robinson to Dak Prescott, who the hell cares, depending on your roster. My man, I would easily prefer Debo here. I want Debo. Now, Shatbot coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says, do I trade Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon? I'm 2-4 going into week 7 in a 14-team format. We have Hurts, Jones, Dillon, Chase, Juju, Waller, and a flex. I agree. Yes, the Green Bay Packers running backs are very scary. This looks like a significantly worse offense than we thought it was going to be coming into the season. You're relying on this offense being very good to open up opportunities in the red zone, to open up touchdown upside for both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But while they have been disappointing, can we trade them? Serious question. Can you trade them? I would make the argument, hell no. Hell to the no. We cannot be trading them. What are you going to get? You're going to get nothing. Nobody's going to give you anything for them right now. What you should do, wait a week, not when Aaron Jones is coming off 19 rushing yards. Wait a week until after they play Washington. When they play Washington, have the bounce back spot here. Then I think we can look to sell either Aaron Jones. Remember, I mean, we had Aaron Jones on a sell-high video back after week 2 after he crushed the Chicago Bears. But real quick, we have a couple massive donations. Thank you so much. Phillips says Burrow, Chase, Amari, CMC, Hall, Andrews, Gabe Davis, Ramadre. And then on the bench, we have Taysom, Etienne, Goddard, Mostert, Walker, Dion. I have too many running backs and no one wants Goddard. Who do I try to trade for to fill in the flex spot, or do we roll with this? Okay, so I agree. I think if we're sitting with Andrews, Goddard, Taysom, we need to trade away a tight end. What I would like to do if nobody's going to be trading for Goddard, maybe we try to package together Taysom Hill. And I 100% agree. Ramondre Stevenson is a locked and loaded running back 1 every single week Damien Harris misses. Every single week Damien Harris is out. Ramondre Stevenson is a locked and loaded running back 1. However, guys, if you look at this, you know who was at practice multiple days last week? You know who may be back earlier than a lot of people realize? Damien Harris. So I think I would maybe cash out on Ramondre while he is that locked and loaded running back 1. I know a lot of people are going to be hesitant with this, and that's why I think we sell him, because I know we can get a lot of value. So let's go through, let's try to package together someone like Ramondre Stevenson as well as that tight end in Taysom Hill. And let's go get the best player that we can flex in the long term. Maybe go get someone like DeAndre Hopkins. And I know Damien Harris isn't good. Remember, y'all are the same people who made fun of me coming into the season for ranking Ramondre Stevenson over Damien Harris. I have those screenshots. I have those comments of y'all making fun of me for that. So I don't want to be Now y'all in the comment section, after I was the Damien Harris hater for years, going, oh, Mason, you clown. Don't you know Damien Harris is garbage? Yeah, I've been saying it in videos for years, but he's still going to get touches here and still going to cap the upside of Ramondre. Now, Henry says, I traded Dalvin for Jonathan Taylor for long-term in a full PBR format. Is it worth it? We're 5-1. Love it, my man. Congrats. 5-1 roster. I completely agree. I think JT has more upside than Dalvin Cook rest of season. So 100% great deal. And thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. All right, let's go right back to where we were with these donations. Michelle says, going to trade Dak because we have Burrow at quarterback. Should I get Aaron Rodgers and Ezekiel Elliott, or Matthew Stafford and James Robinson? Can do either combo of these 4 players. Thank you, my man. I think it's a very good idea. If you have a Burrow that you're going to start over Dak anyway, might as well go pick up an extra running back if we need the depth. I'm going to ask everybody in the live chat this. Please, everybody in the chat. Everybody in the chat. Who would you rather have? The package of Aaron Rodgers and Ezekiel Elliott, or Matthew Stafford and James Robinson? Aaron Rodgers and Ezekiel Elliott, or Matthew Stafford and James Robinson? Now, Sam says, hey, Mason, making some moves. Should I move Amon-Ra St. Brown, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Damian Pierce for Nick Chubb and either DeAndre Hopkins or DK Metcalf? Okay, so I think Amon-Ra St. Brown and Hopkins, now that Hopkins is back, as well as we have the injury specifically for Hollywood Brown, I think that they are comparable. If we're going Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Damian Pierce for Nick Chubb, I think it's about a fair deal. So I would be fine if you wanted to do this. Definitely don't make the trade for DK Metcalf, but if you wanted to do it for Hollywood Brown, I'd be fine with it. Now, Mr. Punch says, Dynasty 12-team app PPR Superflex League. I traded Pittman, Marvin Jones, Khalil Shakir, a future 1st and 2nd for Cooper Kupp, Samaje Perine, future 5th and 6th. Let me know what you think. Okay, so the 5th and 6th literally don't matter at all in a Dynasty League, my man. Samaje Perine doesn't matter at all. We essentially, Marvin Jones doesn't matter. Shakir doesn't matter, even if you like him. I know exactly who he is. Trust me, we wrote a 100-page Rookie Dynasty draft guide this offseason. I mean, he's a long shot at being a difference-making player in Dynasty for the long term. We traded away Pittman, a future 1st and 2nd for Cooper Kupp. That's the deal. Pittman, a 1st and 2nd for Cooper Kupp. In a Superflex format, I hate trading away those 2023 first round picks at this point. I mean, hell, that 2023 rookie class looks like it's going to be very good. But to be honest with you, my man, I mean, if this is going to win you your league, I'm fine with it. If it's going to win you your league, I'm fine with it. Just know that you probably gave up the long-term value for the short-term production. And obviously, your dynasty direction is going to matter a ton with that. But Ryan coming out with the donation, thank you, says 10-team full PBR. We have Lamar Jackson, James Conner, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Kyle Pitts, Hollywood Brown. And then on the bench, we have Lockett, Sanders, James Robinson. I need to upgrade my running backs badly. What are some trades I can do, and who should I be targeting? Okay, so if we're looking to upgrade these running backs, you're not going to get anything for James Conner right now. You're just going to have to hold him and wait until he comes back. I think Miles Sanders, James Robinson, I mean, we were talking about selling high on James Robinson a while ago. It's going to be hard to do that now as Travis Etienne expands his role. If we could maybe move, say a package of these guys. Maybe James Robinson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Maybe Miles Sanders and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Go trade for a running back that people are very concerned with. Of course, 99% of league owners are going to reject this, but maybe you can just find one to accept it. Go try to get Fournette, Swift. I think Swift is the best guy. This is a full BBR format. We can go get Swift for that. That would be phenomenal. Go try to get Nixon, Kamara. I would imagine it's almost impossible for us to go through and trade for Brisal at this point. Very difficult because I feel like a lot of these running backs have gone down in value. But Manuel coming out, thank you, says, Mason, I'm 1-5 in a PBR league. We got Kamara, Swift, Wilson, Henderson, Etienne, Hunt, Herbert, AJ Brown, Higbee, Hawkinson, Henderson on bye. Hollywood Brown's injured, so we have no receivers. My man, what I would personally be looking to do is, we've been talking about this for quite some time. If we can cash in on Jeff Wilson's value, let's do it. I know Hollywood Brown is not going to be missing the rest of the season. Hollywood Brown's only going to be missing about the next month or maybe 6 weeks or maybe 8 weeks. We'll see. I think specifically because we don't have a ton of depth here. On top of this, we are in a spot where we're 1-5. We need points in the lineup immediately. Could be interesting to go ahead and to look to package together Hollywood Brown and Jeff Wilson. Get someone we can immediately start, like Jeff Wilson. I mean, last week, one of our locks was the Jeff Wilson under about 86 rushing yards. It was on Underdog Fantasy. I'm just not a believer that getting Tevin Coleman involved. If they are involving Tevin Coleman, they're involving Tevin Coleman. This tells us everything we need to know about Jeff Wilson. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, Riz says, desperate for a running back. Who would you trade Jamar Chase for 1-for-1? CMC, Barkley, Eckler. CMC, Barkley, Eckler. I think those are going to be the three guys, assuming a full PPR format. But real quick, we have another massive dono coming out from V27K. Always out here, says, hey Mason, 4-2 thanks to the videos. My team rest of season is Dak, Eckler, Hall, Diggs, Amari, Andrews, Walker at the flex. Should I look to upgrade anything or keep the same team? We also have Bateman and Alec Pierce on the bench. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. Thank you for always hanging out here with us. 4-2, obviously have Amari Cooper long-term. We get Deshaun Watson back in for the fantasy football playoffs. We have the elite level tight end with Andrews. Now that we have Walker at the flex, we're rolling with Eckler, Brees, and Kenneth Walker. Oh, dear God, my man. We have Stefon Diggs. We have a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy. You have a phenomenal roster. I don't really see anything to do. All I would say is let's make sure we're not wasting a bench roster spot on a backup tight end. Let's make sure we're focusing on high upside rookie running backs. I'm sorry, we already have those high upside rookie running backs. So make sure instead now we're just focusing in on high upside depth running backs, high upside wide receivers as well. Okay. But we have another Macedonia from Rich out here every single day. Says, hey Mason, thanks for the great work, my friend. At PBR, would you trade Walker and Brian Robinson for JT and Jackson? His handcuff. Thanks, my friend. No, thank you so much, my dude. And 100% I'm doing this. I don't really care about the backups here in Brian Robinson and Deion Jackson. That is what it is. I mean, you're out here every single night. You've already heard my spiel about going through and seeing if we could, and I know people hate us for saying this, I get it, see what we could get by going through and selling Brian Robinson. I love the player. We all want to root for him. There's not a single person in this live stream that is not rooting for Brian Robinson. But when you're playing in Washington and you're in a 3-man running back by committee, I think your ceiling is going to be severely capped. So yeah, if we're able to essentially trade Kenneth Walker and Brian Robinson to get JT, I'm doing that in a heartbeat, my man. Fantastic deal. And y'all know Kenneth Walker is someone that we've had on a couple buy low running back videos. I mean, I am a Walker fan. But real quick, if you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. We are 10 likes away from hitting 500 likes in the stream. Thank you so much for all the support. Now, Cody says, scored 155 points, won by 33. My opponent had Herbert and Sutton. Hell yes, got the W from 0-3 to 3-3 and leading a weak division in a 10-team PBR league. Thank you. No, thank you, my man, for hanging out with us all the time. I mean, super happy to hear that we are on that hot streak. On that hot streak, not slowing down anytime soon. Let's make this a 4th win in a row. But my Sub-Zero, long time no see, says, Kirk and Deontay for Cortland Sutton. Usually Kenneth Walker's at the flex. We got Keenan, Pittman, Deontay, Kirk, Dobbs, and Pickens. Okay, my man. You know that I am... You're out here all the time. You know that I am not a fanboy of Cortland Sutton. I'm the exact opposite, some may say. So I think you know my answer to this. I'm not trading Christian Kirk and Deontay Johnson for Cortland Sutton. Maybe we're overreacting to the game that just happened. I probably would have told you this before the game as well. Can I ask the live chat this? Please, we have about 1,200 people here. Can everybody go to the chat right now? Let me know, what would you rather have? The package of Christian Kirk and Deontay Johnson or Cortland Sutton? It's a shallow league. You already have a lot of wide receiver depth. You only start 2 receivers in a flex. But would you rather have Christian Kirk and Deontay or Cortland Sutton? Now, Hayden says 12-team PPR. We got Kyler, Kamara, Linney, Jamar, Jefferson, Hopkins, Hurst, Kirk, Thielen, White, Algier. 3-3. Any advice? Should I trade DeAndre Hopkins? Hell to the no. You're built around that Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stack. Please make sure you're holding on that. I am in love with this team. You have Jamar, Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins. Rest in peace, your league mates. Super excited for you, my man. Dylan says, hurting at receiver. I think I should trade. I mean, you're saying, I think I should trade. Okay, I just worded this poorly. Henry, Hunt, Edmonds, and Walker. And receivers are Terry, MT, Dobbs, Garrett Wilson, Gallup. What better receiver can I get? Okay, so if we were to go through and look to make him, I don't think we have enough running back depth. I'm not wanting to trade a Hunt off a horrendous week against the New England Patriots. I think that Hunt has much better weeks in his future. Not too excited about, you're not going to get anything for Edmonds. I'm not trying to trade away Kenneth Walker. I mean, if you were to make a move, you're selling Derrick Henry. Maybe you move Derrick Henry, get DeAndre Swift, and then get a small upgrade somewhere else. Assuming it's a full PPR format, maybe that could be a move we look to make. Team doesn't have a lot of depth to move, though. Now, Jared says, hey, Mason, pick one, Taysom Hill, Daniel Bellinger, or Greg Dolch. Hey, he was pretty exciting, at least with the touchdown reception, but we are going to go Taysom Hill. We are going to go Taysom Hill. I mean, based off of just what we had 2 weeks ago, I feel like we have to go in that direction. Now, Nicholas says, Chase or Kamara before trades I made. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. If you're asking, do we want Jamar Chase or Alvin Kamara? Is that what you're asking? I would rather have Jamar Chase over Alvin Kamara, my friend. Now, T. Frosty coming out. Thank you, my dude. Says, Tyreek for Jonathan Taylor. I'm 1-5. We have Lamb, Pittman, Ramadre, streaming quarterback, Etienne's running back 2. Should I do the deal or should I target any other guys? Okay. I think that if we are 1-5, obviously the last thing we want to be doing is trading for Jonathan Taylor. However, specifically because, in my opinion, this team does need a running back. I mean, right now we're rolling with Etienne running back 2. I mean, once we get to the bye weeks, depth is going to be pretty damn hard to get to. So I would personally go through and make this deal. Yeah, let's get JT, assuming that JT is good to go. If this is like an offer sitting in our inbox, might as well wait as long as we can to accept it in case we have any Jonathan Taylor news tomorrow. But thank you so much for supporting the channel, my man. I definitely do appreciate it. Now, Daniel says, I needed 10 points from Herbert, and he gave me 8. RIP. 3-3 in half PBR format, 10-team league. We have Herbert, Mixon, Henry, Chase, Godwin, Pitts, Hopkins of the flex. Like the team, but what are some long-term moves I can make? 7-team playoff. Okay, so let me get this on the record. If you are in a 10-team league where 7 teams make the playoffs, the only thing we really need to be thinking about, weeks 15, 16, 17. Weeks 15, 16, 17, that is going to be the number one priority for us for that fantasy football playoff stretch. If we're looking at these guys, hell, I mean, you've already optimized around that playoff stretch, getting someone like DeAndre Hopkins back in now. So I really like the team, my man. Maybe if we could trade like Nixon for Brisal Hall in a league where the only thing we care about is the last month of the season, maybe you assume that Brisal Hall continues to get better. I think we could look to do that. But now our next donation coming out from Christopher. Thank you. Says, should I move off of Mike Williams and who do I target? Yeah, so we have had Mike Williams as a sell-high wide receiver in the past few sell-high wide receiver videos. Wide receivers I'd be looking to sell Mike Williams for would be T. Higgins or Jalen Waddle. Now, Absy says, flex for the week. We go in Waddle, Damian Pierce, or Kenneth Walker. If you're looking at my rankings, we have Kenneth Walker and Damian Pierce ranked back-to-back. Kenneth Walker and Damian Pierce ranked back-to-back. So it's up to you. I don't think we can go Waddle, even with Tua coming back in. You know, Waddle's my most drafted wide receiver in fantasy. I love me some Jalen Waddle. But looking at the floor and ceiling combination that we're going to get from the rookie running backs, I feel like they're probably the way we got to go. Now, J-Mac coming out. Thank you for always being in live streams with us, my man. It says, should I start Pickens or Mooney week 7? Should I drop Josh Reynolds for DJ Chark? Thank you. You the real MVP. Thank you, my man. Honestly, I probably would prefer DJ Chark if fully healthy over Josh Reynolds, obviously in the same exact situation. And if we're looking at Pickens versus Darnell Mooney week 7, I mean, you have Pittsburgh going up against, I believe, Miami. Keep in mind, we will have these matchups memorized by tomorrow, but you got to give me a day. It's Monday night to memorize these. With the Chicago Bears, where are they going? If I remember off the top of my head, it was a pretty tough matchup. Yeah, they have the New England Patriots. Nope, can't start anybody in Chicago. Going up against the New England defense with Justin Fields at quarterback, cannot start a single player for the Chicago Bears. You got to go Pickens. Now, Jake says, all right, I have Tyler Higbee, George Kittle, and Daniel Bellinger. Should I try to sell Kittle after this week and stick with Higbee? Is Bellinger a reasonable backup? Yes, I really don't want to be rostering 3 tight ends, so I don't really mind if you sell either Tyler Higbee or George Kittle, but I do really like the idea of you going through and you looking to possibly move one of those tight ends to get an upgrade at receiver, because, I mean, you definitely need to. The last thing you could be doing is rostering 3 tight ends, my friend. Now, Joe Stu coming out says, PBR 5-1 with a stacked receiver core. Is T. Higgins and Etienne overpaying for Joe Mixon? Running backs, Fournette, Brisal, Ramadre, and Etienne. So if you're telling me we have stacked wide receivers, and at the same time, we have Fournette, Brisal, Ramadre Stevenson, and Travis Etienne, I don't want to sound like an ass or anything, but I'm assuming that this is going to be like, I mean, is it a safe assumption that this is an 8-team league? I'm assuming this is an 8-team league. So yeah, sure, go ahead, move it, because obviously you're not necessarily in a spot where you care about depth. Like a 12-team format, I'm not doing that. Henry says, I have a 4-for-4 trade that I'm pondering giving up. Swift, Eno, Mostert, Boyd, and we receive Montgomery, Herbert, Evans, and Garrett Wilson. I'm going to be operating under the assumption that this is Khalil Herbert. So if we go from Swift to David Montgomery, downgrade. If we go from Eno Benjamin to Khalil Herbert, handcuff running back to handcuff running back, who the hell cares? We go to Raheem Mostert to Mike Evans, massive upgrade. Tyler Boyd to Garrett Wilson, who the hell cares? I think it's a fair deal. I would essentially say that this trade is DeAndre Swift and call it Raheem Mostert for David Montgomery and Mike Evans and a little bit of change. I think it's a fair deal. I think it comes down to your roster and if you have enough running back depth to get by. But really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 600 likes on the stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Help us out here. Be our 600 like of the stream. Now, Bones says, who would you start next week between London Claypool and Robert Woods? I think we probably got to go Robert Woods here, my man. I mean, coming off the bye, you have no Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks in the IR, I think Woods probably in a good spot. Now, A to Z coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Says, thanks, my dude. I can't stand the Broncos. I don't think it's just Russ. He had no time to throw. Wide receiver routes don't match the O-line play. Genius by Hackett to bench Alberto and sit Melvin Gordon. Yeah, I mean, I want to come out here and I want to make a big deal about Melvin Gordon not playing and Latavius Murray being the guy. I want to sit here and make a big deal about it, but in reality, Melvin Gordon had an injury coming into the game. So I think maybe it's an outside chance that this injury is a little bit more serious than we initially thought. So Hackett looks bad. I don't want to make excuses for Hackett. I don't want to make excuses for Russ. I'm just saying it's hard for us to say, oh, idiot for benching Melvin Gordon playing Latavius Murray. We really don't know the health of Gordon. Well, I think we'll see more next week. Now, Brad coming out. Thank you, my man. And also, A to Z, let me make you a moderator. I'm surprised you're not a moderator already. Of course, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to, but I know you're always out here supporting the live stream. But if you see someone spamming the chat over and over again, which is the same question, tell them, hey, man, quit it, or you're going to get muted. If they keep on doing it, then hit them with the put in timeout. Now, Brad says 2 to 4 got out for Dalvin Cook for Josh Jacobs. We have Henry and Saquon. Separately, I sent A.J. Brown for Lamar. I also have Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I'd be fine if we have Jalen Hurts if you wanted to trade Lamar for A.J. Brown. However, wait a week on this. If we have both Lamar and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are on bye this week. So start Lamar this week, and then afterwards, then you could trade Lamar for A.J. Brown to get that long-term stack and play Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown rest of season. And coming from someone who drafted over 700 real money drafts on Underdog Fantasy, Josh Jacobs, my most drafted running back. My most drafted running back in fantasy this year, Josh Jacobs. We were getting the man in the 7th round. Like, I have so much money invested into Josh Jacobs, it's not even funny. Looks like it was a good investment. But I would sell Jacobs for Dalvin Cook if I'm going to be honest with you. Now, Lewis coming out with the donation. Thank you. Says 10-team 3-max redraft league. Currently 6-0. Should I trade Pollard, a 2023 first and 9th. So it's a keeper league. For Brisal, a future 3rd, 2nd. 6-0 roster. I'm assuming our future first is going to be very late. If we're getting the 3rd and 4th as well, maybe that makes up for it. Yeah, let's go get Brisal. Let's win now. So we trade Tyler Higbee, Amari Cooper, and Ramondre Stevenson for Mark Andrews. We also have Burrow, Kamara, Walker, Jefferson, Pittman, Watt. I would do this. If Damien Harris was out for rest of season and Ramondre Stevenson was someone we could easily project to be a top 10 running back rest of season, then no. But it looks like you may end up getting Damien Harris back this week, next week, and Ramondre having his role shrink just a bit here. So yeah, let's go get Mark Andrews as well. Now, Robert says, help me giving up Nixon and someone else for JT and keep Zach Ertz or Daniel Bellinger. Yeah, so I was actually saying to sell Zach Ertz, sell Hollywood Brown before DeAndre Hopkins came back in, but now that Hollywood's down, I wouldn't mind if you keep Zach Ertz. And then if we're trading Mixon and a small piece like Bellinger for John Taylor, hell yeah. Obviously, it just depends what the piece is. I don't mind at all trading for JT right now. Now, Andre says, love the vids. Thank you, my man. Says, should I trade Hollywood as soon as possible before the news he's injured for the season? Who should I target? Can also add Kareem, Pollard, JK, Bateman, Akers, and Henderson. My friend, I mean, I actually think we had the report today saying that that's not going to happen. Let me pull this up. Maybe there's another report that I actually missed with Hollywood Brown, but what I saw is it looks like Hollywood Brown here is not going to be missing the season. Looks like, yeah, he's going to be out 6 weeks. Rappaport already reported it. I was just seeing if there was something new that came out. It was a non-surgical fracture in his foot. It's going to be out for about 6 weeks. I don't think you're going to get anything for him. He's not out for the year. So you could try to trade Hollywood. Of course, won't hurt to try. You're just not going to get anything. Like, don't have high expectations, my man. Now, real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 700 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody coming out and hanging out with us. And if you have not done so yet, go down there, drop a like in the stream. Now, Average Joe says, trade suggestions for Courtland Sutton, wide receiver or running back. Well, let's go get T. Higgins. Let's go get Jalen Waddle. I've been saying it for God knows how long now. Let's go get T. Higgins. Let's go get Jalen Waddle. Go get one of those guys. Lying Ryan says, would you sell CD and Kamara for Derrick Henry and Hayden Hurst? Hell no, not in a PBR format. I think Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry are significantly closer together than CD Lamb and Hayden Hurst. Kwitke says, Dion or Hines rest of season. I think that they're just two completely different players. I think in any game that Jonathan Taylor misses, you want Deion Jackson. In any game that Jonathan Taylor plays, Nyheim Hines will be better than Dion. So it's dependent on what you're looking for. Bet Thieves, happy to see you. My man says, good offered Cooper Kupp and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Jamar Chase and Kenneth Walker. I would rather have Kupp over Chase. I'd rather have Walker over CEH. I think it's a very fair deal. I'm going to ask the live chat this because I think it is very close. Please, we have over 1,300 people here. If we could get 1,300 messages in the live chat, that would be awesome. Just tell me the name of the receiver that you want in the package. Cooper Kupp and Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jamar Chase and Kenneth Walker. Cooper Kupp and Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jamar Chase and Kenneth Walker. I'm assuming we go Kupp just because he's the best guy in the deal. But let's check the chat. Yeah, everybody's saying Kupp. Everybody is saying to go ahead and take Cooper Kupp here. I do want to be on record, though. I do think that Kenneth Walker is a better option rest of season than Clyde Brisal. But Robert says, no, we already answered that one from Robert. Bradley says, what should I do? We have Hollywood, Adams, Bateman, Samuel, McLaurin. Running back, we have Brisal, Miles Sanders, Jamal Williams. Tight end, we have Taysom Hill, Pat Frymuth. We got offered Nick Chubb for Devonta Adams. Need some advice? Hell no, we're not doing this. You just lost Hollywood Brown for the next 6 weeks. Bateman's injured. Are you telling me you want to go through and start playing Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin every week? No, we're not doing that, my man. If we were to look to make a trade, I think we go ahead, we try to trade one of our tight ends, whether that's Taysom Hill or Pat Frymuth, and an package deal with one of the Washington wide receivers to get a long-term upgrade at receiver, because Frymuth should be, or hopefully will be, back this week from the concussion, and he should be someone we can start every week. I don't really care about having 2 tight ends there. Now, Manuel says, trade Dameon Pierce for Jacobs and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is a nothing burger here, so it's, would you rather have Dameon Pierce or Josh Jacobs? Am I allowed to ask the live chat this as well? Thank you all so much for giving me your opinion on the Cooper Kupp deal. Can you all give me your opinion on this? Who would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have Dameon Pierce or Josh Jacobs? I feel like I'm very biased. I drafted Jacobs everywhere, as we've already discussed. But I mean, Pierce has looked good. Now, Connor says, was out for Dameon Pierce and London for Alvin Kamara. Is this a good move? Just lost Hollywood. We have Hall, Dobbins, Hopkins, Adam, and one. If you had DeAndre Hopkins and Devonta Adams, no, let's not trade away Alvin Kamara for Dameon Pierce and Drake London. I mean, Drake London, I love the player. He just doesn't look startable with this being a horrendous offense here. Just the passing volume in Atlanta is non-existent. Okay. Looking at the chat, kind of seems like we're split here between Jacobs and Pierce. To be fair, I think a lot of people in the live chat right now were members of the flock before the season, and I think we all took advantage of the Josh Jacobs 7th round value. So I think we were maybe a little bit biased. But anyway, Robin says, hello, GOAT, 12-team at PBR. We're 3-3. Should we trade Geno for Bateman or Dak? Oh, if we could trade Geno Smith for Dak Prescott, I'm doing that in a heartbeat, my man. Brian Robinson, oh no, Geno for Bateman or Dak and Brian Robinson for T. Higgins and Rachaad White. At quarterback right now, we have Dak and Geno. Running back, we have Barkley, Robinson, Patterson, Murray. Receiver, we have Kupp, Diggs, Samuel, McKenzie. Okay, so I don't want to be in a spot where we have to rely on starting Geno every week. I'd be fine trading Geno for Bateman, where our current wide receiver 3 is Curtis Samuel. I would be fine trading Geno Smith for Bateman, but if we could, can we wait for confirmation that we are going to have Dak Prescott back this week? Can we wait for that confirmation and then make the move? But Nicholas coming out with a massive dono. Thank you, my man. Says, I got 1 in 5 because the team SOS was QB. Oh my God. Tua Lance, running back, Aaron Jones, Patterson, Walker, Brian Robinson, receiver, Jefferson, Deontay, Cooks, Bateman, McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, tight end, Alberto, started Lance, then got injured, and started Tua in the same thing. That is literally nothing worse. Like going from Lance to Tua, I mean, obviously you can get by getting very little from like a tight end, getting very little from a quarterback 2. I'm sorry, from a running back 2, from a wide receiver 2. But if you go through, if you get absolutely nothing at your quarterback spot, you just have legitimately no chance. And I repeat, no chance at all to win. I'm so sorry, my man. The good news is we get Tua back this week. Also, what I would look to do, especially on a team that's 1 in 5 and we need wins immediately, I think you package Cordell Patterson as well as Brian Robinson. In that with Cordell Patterson, yeah, maybe you're selling him for pennies on the dollar. Maybe he has that long-term upside and we're trading him for very, very little because he's not playing right now. But because he's not playing right now, my friend, we're 1 in 5. You need wins today. Wins a month from now are going to do you no good if we lose the next 2 weeks. I would love to make that move. Now, South says, should we give Brisal for Deebo Samuel? Need receivers. We have running backs. I would say we need more. Let's get a small running back in return. Trade away Brisal. I want everything. I want the entire world if we're trading away Brisal here. I truly do. But Kelvin says trade away Rodgers and Goddard for Kyler and Higbee. Thanks. So thank you, my man. I would do this in a 4-point pass touchdown format where Aaron Rodgers looks like garbage. I mean, Kyler Murray doesn't look great either, but the difference is with Kyler Murray, it may not matter. It simply may not matter when he's able to rack up 100 rushing yards in a single game. That rushing production can skew your fantasy football statistics to an extreme measure. Now, Colby says trade Aaron Jones and James Robinson for who? If we are looking to trade away Aaron Jones and James Robinson, you got to wait a week, my man. Aaron Jones, you're going to get nothing after he just gave you legitimately nothing against the New York Jets. You have to wait until hopefully we get a better spot against Washington in a pretty good matchup this week. And really quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 800 likes in the stream. If you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. It does help us out a ton. Now, John says trade CMC and Higbee for Stefon Diggs. Running backs are Saquon Hunt, Ramadre, Jeff Wilson. Need some receivers. We have Keenan Allen coming back, though. Honestly, no. I think if we're giving up CMC and Higbee, knowing how ugly the tight end position is, I know Higbee disappointed this past week, but Higbee was injured at the same time. I love Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, my most drafted round 1 guy on Underdog this year, but I feel like giving up Higbee is just too much here. Now, Evan says, a full PPR, what moves should we make? Quarterback, we got Rodgers and Dak. Running back, we have Mixon, Walker, Brian Robinson, Darrell Henderson. Receiver, we have Diggs, Lamb, McLaurin, Deontay, Pickens. Tight end, we have Tyler Higbee. Personally, I think when we have Deontay, I would rather start Deontay over McLaurin. If we could package together Terry McLaurin and Brian Robinson, go target someone that's excited about Brian Robinson. I mean, hell, everybody should be excited about him. He looks like a great player. We all want to root for him. But as I've said, even if he is a good player, even if we all want to root for him, he's in a 3-man running back by committee in one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and he's not catching passes either. So I would love to see what kind of value we could get for Brian Robinson right now. Now, Kelvin says trade away Adams and Dillon for Gabriel Davis and Breece Hall. So going from, say, Devonta Adams to Breece Hall, as the leader of the Breece Hall fan club, I can say it is a downgrade. It is a downgrade. Going from A.J. Dillon to Gabriel Davis, it is an upgrade. I think it's probably a fair deal depending on your roster. We have to remember as well that Devonta Adams is through his bye week. Now, Jorge says Ayuk, Waller, Herbert for Stefon Diggs. Hell to the yes. Hell to the yes. Let's go get Stefon Diggs. It's hard to know without this being Khalil Herbert or Justin Herbert and with how excited we are about it. Now, Angel says, I have CMC, Jacobs, Hall, Fournette, and Kenneth Walker. I have Pitts thinking of trading for Andrews, giving up CMC and Kyle Pitts. Standard 10-team league. Would you do the deal? Okay, so giving CMC and Pitts for Mark Inch. I know Christian McCaffrey is trapped in a horrendous situation. It could not be nastier. It could not possibly be nastier than what you currently have with the Carolina Panthers. But moving Christian McCaffrey for Mark Andrews, you're still downgrading, my man. Christian McCaffrey, despite the horrendous offense he's in, the man still managed to have over 100 total yards this past week. The man had almost 100 receiving yards. Guys, I don't see why you're all selling CMC for absolutely nothing here. He's in the worst offense in the NFL and he's producing. What happens if all of a sudden he does get traded? I don't think we can do that. Now, Timothy says, should I be panicking about Justin Herbert, or is this a potential buy low with the juicy rest of season schedule? I mean, it doesn't look great with Justin Herbert. Of course, I mean, we are going to be overreacting a little bit to a 1-game sample. Let's pull this up here. I mean, they win the game, but it is ugly. Where Justin Herbert, I mean, if you're looking at it, the man had 57 passing attempts and 238 passing yards. But to be fair to Justin Herbert here, guys, his wide receiver's been out for the past month. His number one receiver has been out for the past month. I think when you get Keenan back, it will be a better spot for Herbert. Randy says get Jacobs, Algier, and David Montgomery for Kenneth Walker and Nick Chubb. So going from Kenneth Walker to Josh Jacobs, or let's go Nick Chubb to Josh Jacobs, coming from someone who drafted Josh Jacobs in every league, my most drafted running back, because we were getting him around 7. Downgrade. Definitely a downgrade. Going from Kenneth Walker to David Montgomery, downgrade. We're getting Tyler Algier? No. Just keep Chubb and Walker. Zach says, thoughts on the deal. Traded Wilson and Olave for Damian Pierce and Bateman. So massive upgrade from Wilson to Damian Pierce. Downgrade from Olave to Bateman. We lost Devonta. Our only other running backs were Dillon and Hunt. Yeah, so if we needed a running back production, I'm fine going and making this deal for Damian Pierce. I mean, I was hating on Damian Pierce way too much at the beginning of this season, saying he wasn't catching passes in one of the worst offenses in the NFL, but he's changed that. He's now catching passes. I think he's a lot more exciting now. Now, Caesar coming out with the donation, thank you, says Najee and Dalvin Cook for T. Higgins and Breece Hall. Okay, so going from Dalvin to Hall, downgrade, going from Najee to Higgins, call it a lateral move. We have Saquon and Swift, or should I trade Najee, Olave for DeAndre Hopkins? Wide receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Thomas, Sutton, and Hill. I would do that second deal, or I'd do the first deal as well, only if this is an 8-team league. Based on your roster being loaded to the gills, I'm assuming it's an 8-team format. I mean, if that's a 12-team league, it's the best team I've ever seen in my entire life. But specifically in an 8-team league, when depth doesn't matter at all, maybe sure you can do it. Dylan says, I have Evans, Sutton, and Godwin with Chubb and Jonathan Taylor, Amari Cooper as a bench piece. 5-1. Now, should I make a trade or keep the strong roster in a full PBR format? I would have said this even if Courtland Sutton would have gone through and had a whopping 200 receiving yards. Maybe not 200. But if Sutton had a great day, I still would have told you this. Let's sell Courtland Sutton. Let's go get T. Higgins. Let's go get Jalen Waddle. Those personally are going to be my 2 favorite buys this week at the wide receiver position. And you know, I mean, I'm not a big Sutton guy. I don't know how long we've talked about this Courtland Sutton dilemma that the fantasy football community, in my opinion, is just way too excited. Now, Ray says, 10-team PBR format. We got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. We have Saquon, Mixon, Jones, Tyreek, Godwin. Should trade Brandon Cooks and Madison for Kenneth Walker. Yes, in a 10-team league where you can only start 2 receivers and have only 1 flex, wide receiver depth doesn't really matter here, my friend. Let's go through. Let's sell Brandon Cooks. Let's get Kenneth Walker. I'll be fine adding Alexander Madison to it. But finding Brent coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, says, just traded Cook, Aaron Jones, Alec Pierce, and Gallup for DK Metcalf, Adam Thielen, Naheem Hines, okay, oh dear God, and Jonathan Taylor. I don't know why you held out on us, but JT at the very end, I was about to have to roast you for making the worst trade of all time. But, okay, wide receivers now are Dobbs, Jameson, Rondale Moore. Running backs are thin with JT, Pierce, Boone, Madison. Should I try to claim Latavius Murray for Mike Boone? Yeah, at this point, definitely drop Mike Boone for Latavius Murray. And looking at this, I mean, we're going from Dalvin Cook to Jonathan Taylor, upgrade. Aaron Jones to DK Metcalf, downgrade. Alec Pierce to Adam Thielen, upgrade. Gallup to Naheem Hines, who the hell cares? Interesting trade. I am fine with it. Obviously, the entire deal, 100% of the outcome of this trade just comes down to, what do we get from Jonathan Taylor? What do we get? What do we get from Jonathan Taylor? If he's fully healthy, I think that this is a great move. If he's not, obviously we just got crushed. I mean, if Jonathan Taylor does not come back for another couple weeks, and when he does come back, if he's limited here, it may be a very gross spot, my friend. It may be a very gross spot. But I think Jonathan Taylor buying him low is a decent idea. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. And I would go through and I would definitely drop Mike Boone and get Latavius Murray. I mean, I think you can make the argument, oh, well, Mason, Melvin Gordon was just injured. Melvin Gordon was injured, and that's the reason Mike Boone didn't have a big day. I'm sorry, that's why Melvin Gordon didn't have a big day. You can't make that excuse for Mike Boone. Mike Boone just looks like a guy you need to drop immediately for Murray. Trey says, last week I traded Jones and Gabe Davis for Waddle and Ezekiel Elliott. So far, so good. What do you think for the weeks to come? You know I'm a big Jalen Waddle fanboy, so I like it. I think we probably could have squeezed out a little more value. I don't want to tell really too many people to sell Aaron Jones right now, even if Aaron Jones does look very bad and it is concerning. At the same time, you may be in a spot where he does have a much better performance against Washington, and then you could look to move him for more. But now, Aziel says 3-3, 10-team full PBR league. We have Rodgers, CMC, Hall, Swift, Walker, Deontay, Cooks, Olave, London. My receivers are the reason I'm losing the league and will only trade the top tier guys for CMC. What should we do at wide receiver? Okay, so if we're looking at these receivers, I mean, Olave should be good while healthy. If we're rolling with CMC, Hall, Swift, Walker, if you're telling us that people aren't going to be trading for Hall, Swift, Walker, and these are guys I would rather hold anyway, I would trade CMC. F it. Let's pull the trigger. We have so much depth at running back. If you're telling me we can trade CMC for a top tier receiver, if we could trade Christian McCaffrey, get Justin Jefferson, get Jamar Chase, get Stefon Diggs, get Cooper Kupp, then let's do it. Specifically on this roster, we have more than enough running back production to go around. Whereas, if we're looking at the receiver spot, I agree. It is pretty gross. Now, Jacob says, trying to sell Aaron Jones and Mostert for Waddle, Pittman, Debo, or Lamb. Who do I go for? I would personally value CeeDee Lamb, the highest out of that group. I mean, if we are looking at CeeDee Lamb, he's been pretty damn good as of late. I mean, it was a very tough matchup this week against Philadelphia. He was injured in said matchup. However, he's still, put up a respectable game with Cooper Rush. Long-term and get Dak Prescott back in, I think it will probably be a pretty damn good spot for CeeDee Lamb. So yeah, the guy I would be looking to trade for is Lamb. Omar says, my Waddle and Etienne for Keenan and Kareem Hunt. Well, Waddle's better than Keenan and Etienne's better than Kareem Hunt. So this trade's intriguing because we're getting a worse wide receiver, but at the same time, we're getting a worse running back. Those are personally my favorite trades to make. So yeah, let's pull the trade. Oh, man. Now, Tanis says, 2-quarterback PBR league. I'm 3-3. We have Lamar, Kyler, Chubb, Dylan, Hollywood, Judy, Lazard, Andrews, Madison, Terry McLaurin, St. Brown, Odell, Watson on the IR. Where do we look to go? 2-quarterback format, comfortable with where we stand with Lamar and Kyler Murray. If we're looking at this, can't trade away Hollywood now. We're not going to really get anything. We're looking to hold A.J. Dillon. Nick Chubb's a clear running back one that we need. McLaurin has been someone that we've been talking about selling for a very long time now, especially that we're getting him on receiver. I would love to repeat what I've said over the past 6 weeks now to go through and sell Terry McLaurin. I'm not going to lie to you, though. It is more difficult for me to say that, specifically because we are in a situation where, hell, nobody's trading for. Who the hell's trading for Terry McLaurin right now? You'd have to be a madman. You have to be delusional. You have to be a crazy person. You have to be Terry McLaurin's dad to be trading for him. So maybe try to trade McLaurin. Don't want to be moving anybody else off this roster. I just don't know what you're going to get. Now, real quick, we are 2 likes away from hitting 900 likes in the live stream. If you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like in the live stream for us. It does help out a ton. Jordan out again says, panic with the team, 2-4. Kyler, Saquon, Lenny, Pierce. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Keenan, Sutton, Judy, Gabe Davis. Tight end, we have Pitts and Njoku. Currently 7th in a 10-team format where 4 make the playoffs, but somehow projected to finish 2nd. Very interesting. Whatever format's telling you that. I would say long-term, my man, you already have Damian Pierce through his bye. Damian Pierce clearly breaking out, going to be better in the second half of the season. Keenan Allen, hopefully is back from his injury relatively soon. Kyle Pitts back from his injury already. I would say that the clear move, in my opinion, is to move off of Courtland Sutton If we could trade Courtland Sutton and go get Jalen Waddle, go get T. Higgins, or maybe even move Courtland Sutton and another smaller piece with this team like David Njoku and go get someone that we're really excited about like DeAndre Hopkins. Now that you have no Hollywood Brown, like DeAndre Hopkins, y'all know we've included him as a buy low wide receiver over the past month. Like I wish we could run around and say, oh, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. But obviously, it's just a little bit a difference. Hard to say, oh, we knew Hollywood Brown's going to get injured. We're going to be willing to pay more for DeAndre Hopkins than even we were over the past month when we were buying him on the low. Now, Mason says, thoughts on Darrell Henderson and Rondale Moore rest of season. I think Darrell Henderson will be an every week low-end running back too, given the fact that you have no Akers. Looks like they're trying to trade Akers. And then if we're looking at Rondale Moore, looks like Rondale Moore can be a weekly starter for a year as well, knowing that Hollywood Brown goes down. I thought Rondale Moore was no longer going to be viable with DeAndre Hopkins coming back, but hell, Hollywood Brown goes down. I think Rondale Moore is going to be that wide receiver 3. Just need this Arizona Cardinals offense to be better. Now, Prince Law coming out with a donation. Says, hello, sir. We're sadly 1-5. We got Brady, Mixon, Kenneth, Diggs, Higgins, Higbee, Olave, Etienne, Juju, Goddard, Gage, Gallup, Madison, Khalil Herbert. What's the play from here? If we have both Higbee and Goddard, I would personally, especially on a 1-5 roster, Goddard going into his bye. I mean, they're both going in their bye. Crap. Yeah, so you're going to eventually have to, like this week, you would have to drop someone. You're going to have to go through, you are going to have to drop someone just to pick up a tight end to play. What I would personally look to do is maybe go through and package together either Tyler Higbee or Dallas Goedert. They're about the same for me. I probably prefer Goddard, but they're relatively close. Package them with a receiver that can give you an immediate upgrade for your starting lineup. We already have Diggs and Higgins. We have a great team. I have no idea how the hell we're 1-5. But go package them with someone that can upgrade us at that flex spot. And then long term, I mean, pick up a tight end just for this week. We talked about a ton of interesting waiver wire tight ends in the waiver wire video today. Pick up a tight end for this week and this week alone. And then the rest of season, just roll with one of either Tyler Higbee or Dallas Goedert. But you choose who you want and go with that guy. Now, our next donation coming out for proper thank you says, we got Burrow, Mahomes, Montgomery, Hall, Brown, Evans, Kelsey, Mostert. And then on the bench, Keenan, Herbert, Mike Thomas, Swift, Dobbs, and Goddard. Any trades? Very similar. My man, if you have Kelsey, you don't need a backup tight end here. I think that we just have these points wasting away on our bench, this potential value that we could go through and look to sell to get an upgrade at running back and upgrade at receiver. Maybe we want to go through it back together, David Montgomery and Dallas Goedert, go get an upgrade at running back. I mean, I just personally don't like the idea of rostering a backup tight end, especially someone that has a decent amount of value on a roster that has the Kelsey Mahomes stack. Personally, that's what I'm looking to do. Now, Brian says, should I trade Mike Williams for Dameon Pierce? Hell yes. I mean, I've been a Dameon Pierce hater. I mean, I've been way too low on Dameon Pierce, but I would even do that. I would even do that, my man. Now, Assign says, how much should I pay on Chubobert if CMC is traded? I'm sorry, my friend. Fab questions. I agree. I think everybody should be playing in a Fab league. I like that we're getting Fab questions. I like that people are fixing this about their fantasy football formats, but I can only answer your Fab question if you tell me how many teams are in the league and the player that you'd be dropping. Chris says, I traded Saquon for A.J. Brown and Aaron Jones, and I'm regretting it. Please tell me I'm not stupid. If you are in a 16-team league where there are a couple flex spots where depth is impossible to come by, then sure, you're not stupid. In reality, my man, it's very hard to spin this as a good trade. Very, 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 very hard to tell you that. Now, Mystic Flame says, a 14-team full PPR league. We got Carr, Gino, Barkley, JT, Walker, Henderson, Hines, Algier, Debo, Garrett Wilson, Waller, Robert Tonyan. Traded Adam Thielen and Edmonds for Kenny. Okay, for a second, I thought this was Kenny Galladay. I was going to say, oh, dear God. It's Kenneth Walker. I really like the move, my man. Great trade. I think now that we make this deal, though, in a 14-team format where the waiver wire is going to be a little bit dry, will be difficult for us to go through and make any additional trades, if I'm going to be honest. I think if we're looking to make any additional trades, it just can't be another 2-for-1. I think you already made your trade. I think it's a good one. I think we roll with it. But Christian coming out with a massive dono. Thank you. We've had 250. Oh my gosh. Thank you. 5-1, 10-team full PPR. Who/what should I go for after to improve the team and make the appropriate changes for week 7? We have Herbert, CMC, Fournette, Hopkins. Hopkins is just going to freaking crush. Amari, Schultz, Stevenson, Tyreek, Brian Robinson, Myers, Hunter Renfrow, Alec Pierce, Rashawn. So we have some depth guys, but in my opinion, we have 2 guys that we are 100% looking to move. And I like them. We've been hyping them up earlier on in the year. I think that their value is just a little bit too high for the actual production that you were going to look to get. I think both Brian Robinson as well as, I don't enjoy saying this, Brian Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson are going to be sell high candidates for us. For looking at Brian Robinson, he looked great on Thursday night. And clearly the announcers, anybody who plays fantasy football, everybody wants to be rooting on Brian Robinson. Everybody wants to be rooting for Brian Robinson. We all are. However, if we're going to be honest, I don't think it's that good of a spot if he's in a 3-man running back by committee in one of the worst offenses in the NFL and he's not getting involved as a pass catcher. I personally would look to go through and possibly sell Brian Robinson and also Ramondre Stevenson. With Ramondre Stevenson, y'all know I was a Damien Harris hater coming into the season, saying Ramondre is who you wanted. Ramondre had the passing down upside. Go Ramondre, go Ramondre. We talked about it all offseason. But now that everybody is essentially pricing in that Ramondre Stevenson is a running back 1 rest of season, it's hard for me to agree with that whenever Damien Harris is at practice. Damien Harris practiced all last week. I'm not saying Harris comes back this week, but hell, if he doesn't come back this week, he's probably coming back the next. And when that does happen, even if Ramondre Stevenson's still the running back 1, it's still going to be a running back by committee. So even though I like the individual players, I think the value's gone a little bit too far, and we look to sell both Ramondre Stevenson and Brian Robinson. Specifically, you have a ton of receivers. So we don't need to sell them for a receiver. I think we could look to move it for a running back. We have a couple buy low running backs going through in depth with guys like DeAndre Swift in tomorrow morning's video. But Maxwell says team is Herbert, Barkley, Stevenson, Jefferson, Godwin, Kelsey, Kenneth Walker, and then the flex, Walker/Darrell Williams. Do I trade Kenneth and Kelsey for Sanders, Waddle, Zach Ertz? Okay, so going from Kenneth to Sanders, slight downgrade, call it a lateral move. Kelsey to Waddle and Zach Ertz, you can't do this, my man. You got to keep Kelsey. Coming from someone who has Jalen Waddle as their most drafted wide receiver, you got to keep Kelsey. African Lizard says you're the GOAT. Thank you so much for supporting the channel as always. Now, Josu says, a follow-up to the last question, 12-team format. Kyler Murray, Fournette, Hall, Etienne, Adams, Godwin, Hopkins, T, Kirk, Kelsey. Should I look to make any moves? Honestly, no. A lot of these guys would be players that I'm personally looking to trade for. Leonard Fournette doesn't look great, but I don't think you're going to get much if we try to trade away Leonard Fournette. So then we honestly just kind of sit on our hands here, my friend. Now, the Dawn coming out with our next donation. Thank you. Says we have Eckler, Etienne, and Walker at running back. Should I trade away Eckler to get a wide receiver 1? We have Evans and Lockett for receiver. Honestly, I probably want it. If we're looking at Austin Eckler, the man's the running back 1 in fantasy right now. And even in a bad day today, I think we can all sit here and go, okay, the Los Angeles Chargers look bad. They look very bad. Herbert looked bad. I'm not saying he is bad. I'm saying today he looked bad. It was a bad day for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're much better going forward. I think we'll all agree with that. Austin Eckler dropped like 25 fantasy points. Simply because when you're a running back getting involved as a pass catcher, as much as he does, when you're a running back that at the same time is going to get used at the goal line, is going to get used in the red zone in a very good offense, you're going to have a lot of fantasy football value. So no, I wouldn't look to trade away Eckler, even if you feel like you need a wide receiver. Say if you have Evans and Lockett, you're fine. Brian says, I get Mike Williams for Dameon Pierce. I'm 6-0. Hell no. Hey, please. We want Dameon Pierce over Mike Williams. Especially if you're 6-0, you'll get Keenan Allen back in the long term. Well, please keep Dameon Pierce. Now, real quick, we are 5 likes away from hitting 1,000 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody supporting the channel. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like in the stream for us. It definitely does help. But now, Off a Beam says, needed a running back 2, traded Pittman for London and Dobbins. Also dropped Claypool. I have Lamb, Eckler, Waddle, Elijah Moore. Do I sell Ion Dox? Am I cooked? If you could sell Ion Dox, you do it. In reality, I don't think you can. And if we're looking at trading Pittman for London and Dobbins, it's okay. The issue is there's no passing volume in Atlanta. Dobbins, we don't know the health of the knee. If Dobbins is 100% healthy, okay deal, maybe an upgrade. But you are inherently taking on some risk here. Just whenever Dobbins' knee log, obviously it was a severe injury coming into the season. So I'm a lot more worried than we would be with another player that had the same thing happen. Now, James coming out of the donuts has traded Higgins for Godwin and Rachaad White. Bad deal. I think Godwin, Higgins are somewhat comparable. Getting a handcuff running back that you like here is fine. We have Saquon, Swift, Jacobs, Herbert, Latavius Murray. Tight ends garbage. Should we send Saquon for Kelsey or Andrews? Probably not. I think that there were a lot of intriguing waiver wire tight ends off the waiver, this week. So I would go try to pick up one of those waiver wire tight ends, see if that gets the situation sorted out for you. If not, then maybe we go through and revisit it. But for now, no, we're not going to. Now, Nor coming out of the dono, thank you, says 1-5 Superflex PBR format, where we have Herbert, Mariota, Tannehill, Barkley, Henderson, J-Rob, Brian Robinson, Pollard, Debo, London, Juju, Garrett Wilson, Judy, DJ Moore, Kittle. What should we be doing going forward? Need to drop a guy. I think we don't drop a player and instead we make a 2-for-1 deal. I think what we're going to be looking to do when we have no clear wide receiver 2, like good freaking luck submitting this starting lineup after Debo Samuel at receiver. I think we look to package together Brian Robinson with either Juju, London, Garrett Wilson, Judy, DJ Moore. All these receivers are about the same. Who the hell cares? Just go see what we could get. Go test the waters. Go try to sell Brian Robinson. You've already heard my little spiel about him being a 3-man running back by committee and horrendous offense. He's a good player. You should be excited about him. But we need, and I repeat, we desperately need that upgrade at wide receiver 2. So I think that would be a move I'm looking to make. And also that would open up a raw spot for you easily where you don't have to drop a guy. Now, Ricardo coming out, thank you, says 8-team 3-3 roster. Do I trade Debo, Kamara, and Zach Ertz for Jonathan Taylor or DeAndre Swift? 8-team league. Wait, and St. Brown and Kelsey? You're telling me we're trading JT, Kamara, Zach Ertz for either Jonathan Taylor or DeAndre Swift plus Amon-Ra St. Brown and Travis Kelsey? This is apparently the most casual league on the planet. Yes, you make this deal. You're getting the best running back in the deal. You're getting the best receiver in the deal. You're getting the best tight end in the deal. That is a no-brainer, and it's not even remotely close. Now, on the effect coming out says, should I trade Nixon for Jamar Chase? Yes. My running backs would be Hall, Pierce, James Conner. Receivers are currently Diggs, St. Brown, Sutton, London, Kirk. Also just lost Hollywood. I'd be fine making the deal. I would have told you to do it last week as well. It's kind of crazy that you're able to get a discount in the first place on Jamar Chase. If you can trade for Jamar Chase, keep it super simple. If you can go get a stud like that, you do it. You don't overthink it. You just go ahead and you do it. Now, Ray Gunn says 12-team full PBRs. Jameson Williams worth a spot on the bench. I almost thought about including Jameson Williams on the waiver wire video this week. Actually, I think we did. I think we did. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's pick up Jameson Williams. Can't hurt to wait a week. Obviously, if you can throw him on your IR, he's 100% worth the pickup. Now, Edwin says Sutton for Aaron Jones. Give me Aaron Jones. Not even close. Griffin says, do I trade Pitts for Tyler Lockett? We have Taysom Hill. I would say no, but that's also because I'm an idiot. I would say no, but that's also because I am not very smart, my friend. Not very smart. Okay. So now our next donation coming out from, I believe, Robert says, what's a better running back I can get for Brisal? My other running backs are Kenneth Walker and Joe Mixon. You are in the wrong place. If you were coming here and asking me, Mason, where do I trade away Brisal? You don't trade away Brisal. You keep Brisal. Please. Keep Brisal. Don't overthink it. Roll with all. Anthony says 12-team league. My team is 1-5. I traded Jamar Chase for Jonathan Taylor. Good deal. Team is Etienne, Brown, Pierce, Swift, Bateman, St. Brown, Samuel Erskine Jr. I think it's a very good team. Clearly, you can tell why you're 1-5. You had the injury to DeAndre Swift, the injury to Rashad Bateman, the injury to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now that we get these players back and healthy, and as well as those Detroit Lions players being back from their bye, I think this will be a much better team going forward. Okay. Now, Anthony coming out of the donation says, 12-team league. The team's 1-5. I traded Jamar Chase for, no, we already answered that one. Ray Gunn says 12-team full PPR format where we got Goff, CMC, Linney, Jeff Wilson, Carter, Eno, T, Waddle, Thielen, Bateman, Zay, and Joku Hawkinson. Should I drop Trevor Lawrence for Jameson Williams or Deshaun Watson? Rate the team and any other suggestions. I mean, good roster. Make sure you're starting, Benjamin this week. Yeah, sucks to say. I know, it was disappointing this past week, but I think we do have to just suck it up and start him again. If you have no Connor, if you have no Williams. If we're looking at tight ends, it's hard to make too many moves. I mean, I like the receivers with T and Waddle. I would be fine dropping Trevor Lawrence and getting in. I would be fine dropping Lawrence and going after Deshaun Watson. Well, we are only 5 weeks now from Deshaun Watson being back. Week 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 5 weeks back. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's make that move, my man. And now, next donation coming out from Anthony says, quarterback is Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff. Yeah, that doesn't change anything with what we said. Now, Rex says offered DeAndre Swift and Sutton for Devonta Adams and James Conner. Team is Kyler, J-Rob, Connor, Diggs, Higgins, Tay, Hurst, Melvin Gordon, Ayuk. I think we kind of have to do it, my man. I think we have to go get DeAndre Swift because you're telling me right now, I mean, I hate trading away Devonta Adams. I don't like the value of this deal, if I'm going to be honest with you. But if we're specifically looking at the players on this team, right now at running back, we have James Conner injured. So we're rolling out James Robinson and Rachaad White. You got to make the deal. Let's go get DeAndre Swift. I really don't want to be trading away Devonta Adams, but we kind of have to. Now, Jorge says 14-team PBR format. Stefon Diggs for Khalil Herbert, Darren Waller, and Brandon Ayuk. Oh, hell no. I know 14-team league. Depth's harder to come by, but you want Diggs there. Caesar says it's a 10-teamer. My man traded Gabriel Davis for Najee Harris. Okay, is this the obnoxious team we saw earlier on? Okay, no, 10-team format. Ten-team format, I'd be fine with the first deal, dependent on how worried are you about Najee Harris. Like, if you think Najee Harris is not even a top 24 running back rest of season, then sure, let's go for it. Now, our next donation coming out from Trailer Park Boys says, traded Brian Robinson for Hollywood Brown and more. I mean, I'm assuming that we did this before the injury. If we did this before the injury, I really like it. After the injury, it's just very hard to trade for Hollywood Brown right now. Like, I would never tell someone to trade for Hollywood right now. I mean, you're looking at Hollywood Brown as a player that's not going to have the possibility of increasing his trade value for like the next month. So in reality, I'd probably look to hold off on trading for Hollywood just right now. Now, Lavelle says 18 PBR format where we got Burrow QB, running back. We have Eckler, Henry, Swift, JT, Stevenson, Walker. Receiver, Diggs, Jefferson, Higgins, Keenan, Allen. Tight end, we have Ertz and Taysom Hill. Hopkins coming off the IR this week. We need to make room. If we need to make room, let's go try to trade for an elite level tight end, my man. We have so much depth here. Kenneth Walker's our running back 6. Can we just throw together, Ramondre Stevenson, Keenan Allen, and Zach Ertz and go try to get Andrews and go try to get Kelsey, get that elite level tight end, drop the backup tight end, move Hopkins up from the IR. I think that would be a very exciting move. Let's go try to get that elite level tight end. Kaepernick, always happy to see you out here. Says 10-team Dynasty League at BBR. Shall benches stacked a receiver. Should I waive Wan'Dale or Odell? I would rather have Wan'Dale Robinson in Dynasty over Odell relatively easily, my friend. I liked Wan'Dale coming out of Kentucky. Trailer Park Boys says, have a bench spot open, don't need a tight end. What are your thoughts? If you have a bench spot open, don't need a tight end, you're asking us our favorite waiver wire player of the week. Maybe you go get Wan'Dale Robinson. Obviously, it's going to depend if you need a receiver, if you need a running back. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is very exciting of a pickup. Man had like 4 targets off like 11 routes run this week. Now, Finn coming out with a massive dono. Thank you, says, hope all is well, my friend. Shaky team situation where we're rolling with Lamar, Eckler, Melvin, Pollard, Jefferson, Higgins, Njoku, Waller, and Sutton. Desperation with the running back 2. Any trade advice? 10-team league. Keep rocking on strong. 200 days straight. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And I hope you can tell my voice sounds a little bit better. I think the 200 days of live streaming in a row is actually maybe going to be possible. My voice doesn't give out on us. Running back 2. Yep, you're right. It's horrendous. So you know what we need to do? We need to trade away David Njoku. Go to a team that needs a tight end. Let's trade away David Njoku, package him with Tony Pollard. Go get a running back that we can start immediately. Of course, we're not expecting to get someone that's phenomenal. You're not expecting to make this deal for Dalvin Cook. But if we could just go through and trade David Njoku and Tony Pollard and go get Travis Etienne, go get David Montgomery, go get Kenneth Walker, go get Miles Sanders, go get any startable running back here. I think that would be exciting because while there are some very serious red flags with Darren Waller, I think he's comparable to David Montgomery rest of season. I think you probably still prefer Waller, but it's close. And assuming that Waller is healthy, I don't know. I feel like he's probably a guy we can start every week, right? He's probably a guy we can start every week. It is a little difficult, though. Now, our next donation coming out from, I believe, Tesby says, 5-1, 12-team app PBR format. We got Herbert, Mixon, Wilson, Hunt, Adams, Mike Williams, Pittman, Davis, Andrews. Who should I target as the second running back, or do I stay? My man, I would love to trade away Jeff Wilson Jr. if we could. I would say the main move I'm going to be looking to make is trade away Jeff Wilson Jr. If they're getting Tevin Coleman involved, you're in a very nasty spot, especially when Elijah Mitchell comes back in a few weeks. And then also regarding Mike Williams, I would be looking to sell him as well. You're going to get Keenan Allen back in soon. I'd be trying to sell Mike Williams and either go get Jalen Waddle or T. Higgins. Now, Danny says a 3-3 PBR format where we got Herbert, Chubb, Fournette, Gabe Davis, Amari, Ertz. Just traded Dalvin and Sutton for Jamar Chase and Miles Sanders. What are your thoughts? I kept Alexander Madison. I love it, my man. You know I'm not a big Sutton guy. You're getting a massive upgrade from Dalvin to Chase. Sutton to Miles Sanders, maybe some people argue it's a downgrade. I don't really care, but keep in mind, I am a Sutton hater, so maybe people will tell us that my opinion doesn't really matter here regarding Courtland Sutton, but I really like it. Go get Jamar Chase. Royer says, Pittman, Myers, Gallup, Lockett, Bateman. Which wide receiver do I trade for Devon Singletary? If we could trade Gallup, you do it. After Gallup, my next lowest ranked guy is going to be Myers. After that, my next lowest ranked guy is going to be Lockett. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't trade Lockett for Singletary, especially like not this week. Like never trade for a player that's going into his bye week. Wait a week. If you want to trade for Singletary, do it next. Michael says, would you trade JT away for Alvin, Kamara, and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Yeah, I would. Depending on the roster, of course. Like if you're playing an 8-team league, probably not. Tyler says 3-3, 12-team, 2 wide receiver league where we got Godwin, Goff, Cooks, McKenzie, London, Deontay, Jameson, Eckler, Chubb, Hall, Higbee. Need to make some moves. Please help. Thank you, my friend, for supporting the channel. I like the team. I think we are a little underweight at receiver. If we could go and trade Brandon Cooks in a package with another depth receiver like Jameson Williams, who has the name brand appeal, and go get T. Higgins, go get Jalen Waddle, you know, my 2 guys, I would really like that. In reality, I think you have a well-balanced roster. I do like the team. Now, our next donation coming out from Michael says, 10-team PBR format, just grab Brian Robinson and Henderson off the waiver wire. With packaging the 2 of them to acquire Mike Williams, be smart, have good running back depth, I think you can look for more. I would rather try to package them individually with wide receivers in our starting lineup to get better receivers such as T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle. I mean, I'm not a big Mike Williams fan. There's some people hate us for that, but especially when we get Keenan Allen back in, I think it's going to be hard to be that excited about Mike Williams. Now, next donation coming out from, I believe, Bobby says, trade Sutton and Sanders for Jalen Waddle. I would say Miles Sanders is probably a little bit too much to add to Courtland Sutton. You know, I'm all about trading Sutton for Jalen Waddle where we can. I just think of Miles Sanders a little bit too much. Now, Michael says, hey, Mason, I'm 3-3 in a full PBR format. What moves should we look to make? We're rolling with Cousins, Fournette, Rashad, Cook, Connor, Dobbins, Godwin, Lamb, Sutton, Hopkins, Gabe Davis, DJ Moore, and Joku Dalton-Schultz. We have to drop 1 to start DeAndre Hopkins. My man, I love this team. If you're telling me we're rolling with Godwin, Lamb, Hopkins, Gabe Davis, arguably Courtland Sutton's our wide receiver 5. What I would look to do is I would look to try to package together Courtland Sutton with our quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Go ahead, go get an upgrade at the quarterback spot. Maybe go get someone like Kyler Murray, who has been very disappointing so far this season, but maybe is better when you get DeAndre Hopkins back in. And you have that stack with Hopkins as well. So try to trade Sutton and Cousins for the best quarterback that we could get. And also, if we make that move, you're not going to have to drop anybody to move DeAndre Hopkins from the IR. Now, Jesse says, at BBR format, 4-2 record. We have at quarterback, Allen. Running back, we have Jacob, Singletary, J-Rob. Receiver, we have Diggs, Hopkins, Michael, Boyd, Zay Jones. Tight end, we have Hawkinson, Dawson Knox, Hayden Hurst. What moves do we make? My man, you do not need to be rostering 3 tight ends. For the love of God, let's go through. Let's move off of some of these tight ends. If you could package like Dawson Knox and say Hayden Hurst and Singletary, go get an upgrade at the running back position. Go back together Dawson Knox and Zay Jones. Go get an upgrade at the wide receiver. Just don't be rostering 3 tight ends here. I think that we don't have the best wide receiver or running back depth upside on the roster. I think partially the reason for that is we're wasting the roster spots here. But real quick, in the live chat, please do not think I missed your donation question. I would never miss the donation question. I just go in order of the donation questions that we get, answering every single one. Promise you I won't miss it. We have a little list here. And I will skip ahead if we see like a $20 donation. So if you saw me read like a $20 donation that was after yours, it's just because if it's a massive dono, we just go and read that right away. But all the other ones, we go ahead and we read them in order. So don't think I missed it. Now, Dr. Ryan says, I'm 4-2, 10-team full PBR format. Trade Ayuk for Hollywood Brown. If you can slide Hollywood to the IR and Ayuk is not someone we're ever thinking about starting, sure. Now, our next donation coming out from Chisel. Thank you, says, 10-team PBR league, 2 quarterbacks, and I'm 2-4. We have Herbert, Burrow, Goff, Henry, Mixon, Benjamin, Etienne, Lamb, Evans, Deontay, Hopkins, Wilson, Myers. Tight end, we have Njoku and Pitts. What moves should we look to make? My man, you have a great team here. You have a great team. Obviously, you know that. You're 4-2. There are really no clear sell-high candidates for us. Personally, I'm planning on starting Kyle Pitts every single week. So I may not mind if you wanted to go through and see what we could trade David Njoku for and roll with Pitts. In reality, my friend, I love the roster. I think that you are in a phenomenal spot. I don't think that you have to do anything. It's something that doesn't help. I get it. I know it's the worst answer I could give. It's the first time I'm giving this answer on this live stream tonight, so I definitely apologize. But you're in a very good spot. You have a very good team. I think you roll with it, especially now that we're getting Hopkins back. Now, next donation coming out from Jordan. Thank you. Says, can I drop any of Sutton, Judy, Russ, Wilson, Henderson at this point? Waivers have Juju, Wandale, Robbie, and Rondale Moore. If we were going to pick up any of these receivers off the waiver wire, it would be Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, you could maybe drop Garrett Wilson for him. I think it's just going to be up to you. Going to be up to you. Please, everybody in the live chat, let me know, who would you rather have? I think Garrett Wilson's probably the lowest ranked receiver for everybody here. Would you rather have Garrett Wilson or Juju Smith-Schuster? Please, everybody spam the chat. Would you rather have Garrett Wilson or Juju Smith-Schuster? Now, our next question coming out from Royer says, which wide receiver? Lockett, Bateman, Myers. We already answered that. Victor says 2 and 4 is Rodgers, Saquon, Dobbins, Tyreek, Lamb, Gabe Davis, and Njoku, Dobbs. Bench, we have Olave, Pollard, T-Law, Tunyon, Hardman. Should I look to make an upgrade at running back? I mean, obviously, the thing is, yes, if we could, we would. But at the same time, I don't know if we can. I don't think we have enough firepower. It sucks. We are praying to God that you're in a spot that you end up getting. I mean, we really need J.K. Dobbins and his knee to be healthy for you here. I'm not confident in saying it's going to happen. In a perfect world, yeah, we'd have a ton of receivers and we could go through and we could look to trade one for a running back too. But we don't have a lot of depth here, my friend. We don't have a lot of depth. Okay. Now, our next donation coming out from Connor says, Kamara and Hollywood for Evans and Swift. Hell yeah, give me Evans and Swift. I mean, I think Swift and Kamara are very comparable rest of season. And if we're looking at Mike Evans versus Hollywood Brown, with Hollywood Brown missing at least the next 6 weeks, it's going to be a no-brainer. Now, JM says, what should be the next move? 3-3, 10-team league. We have Geno, Dak, Williams, Waddle, Lockett, Pittman. Running back, we have Mixon, Cook, Etienne, Waller, tight end. I personally think what we would look to do is move Mike Williams for T. Higgins if we possibly could. If not, maybe we go ahead and possibly try to package together Geno Smith and Tyler Lockett and go get an upgrade at wide receiver once we get Dak Prescott back. I mean, I know that a lot of people are very excited about Geno Smith, but as I've discussed, I think that here with Geno Smith, at the end of the day, while he was impressive through the first month, Geno Smith is Geno Smith. I don't know how excited we could be to just go through and start him every single week here. I would start Dak Prescott over him every week, regardless of matchup. So I think what we look to do is make that move. Of course, plan A is let's move Mike Williams. Let's go get T. Higgins. But now, J&DJ says, who should I try to get for Ramondre Stevenson? The team is Hurts, Cooks, Barkley, Pittman, Higgins, Olave, Dillon, McLaurin, Dobbs, Herbert, Pickens. I would love to package together Ramondre with one of these lower tier receivers, someone like Terry McLaurin, and to go through and get DeAndre Swift. Go get one of those very exciting running backs that are at a discount, given the fact that, hell, I mean, they've been dealing with an injury. You haven't had production from DeAndre Swift in quite some time. So that's the move I am personally going to be looking to make. Now, at the same time, I know a lot of people are going to hate us for saying to sell Ramondre Stevenson. Partially the reason we're saying to sell him is because I know y'all hate me saying it. I know we can get a lot of value for him. And like I said, the issue is he is 100%, and I agree, 100% a top 10 guy, a must-start player every single week with no Damien Harris. Harris is back at practice last week. If Harris was practicing last week, I don't know. I think he's going to be back. And even if Rodgers is starting running back, if it's a committee, I'd love to go get someone like DeAndre Swift. Now, next donation coming out from Patrick says, 3-3, 12-team PPR format. We have Burrow, Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Evans, A.J. Brown, Olave, Hawkinson, Eno, Pickens, Gallup. Should I move Aaron Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a package for a running back one? I like the idea, but the issue is, my man, you're not going to be able to. I'm sorry, my man. You're not going to be able to. I would love for you to go through and trade Aaron Jones and get a true running back one in return. Maybe if you can get DeAndre Swift, who's at a serious discount. Yeah, sure, that's great. But coming off the Jets' performance where he gave you absolutely nothing, nobody, and I repeat, nobody is going to be going through and trading for Aaron Jones right now. I think that you honestly kind of just have to sit here and wait until we have a better game against Washington. I think realistically, there's a good shot that he does well against Washington because it's the Washington Commanders. I think we wait and try to make that move. Henry says, my boy traded Dameon Pierce for Devonta Smith. We are in a 10-team full PPR league, 3-3. I told him it wasn't worth it. Was I right? Yeah, I mean, you're listening to someone who has been a Dameon Pierce hater so far this season. I was criticizing Dameon Pierce for being a running back that's in a piss poor offense and he's not catching passes. Like, I've been a Dameon Pierce hater, but I can't ignore what he's done over the past 2 weeks. He's looked phenomenal. He's looked great. So honestly, I think you made a massive mistake. And I repeat, a massive mistake if you traded away Dameon Pierce for Devonta Smith. Now, Morph coming out with the donation says, thoughts on Zach Ertz and thoughts on Kamara rest of season. I think Zach Ertz is a player that obviously we've had as a sell-high guy for quite some time. But the reason for that is I thought when Hopkins came back and you had Rondale Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, and Hollywood Brown all in this offense, it was going to be a very difficult spot for him to go through and really give you much at all. However, now that Hollywood Brown is out, I'm honestly probably going to be looking to hold Zach Ertz for the moment. And with Alvin Kamara, I mean, we had him on a buy low video every single week for essentially a month. I mean, I'm not going to be looking to turn around and sell Alvin Kamara now, especially with so many receivers injured in New Orleans. I think when all these receivers eventually make their way back, then at that point, we could be revisiting the Alvin Kamara price point and seeing if it would be worth seeing what we could get for him. But no, I think we just hang tight for now. But Antonio coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my man says. 4-2, 10-team full PPR league where we have Hurts, Swift, Hall, Etienne, Hunt, Dillon, J-Rob, Jamal, Kupp, A.J. Brown, Lockett, Bateman, Elijah Moore, Everett, and Dalton Schultz. Want to upgrade a receiver since I have so many running backs? Any suggestions? I mean, my man, if we're going to be trading away anybody here, we're not trading Swift, we're not trading Hall, we're not trading Etienne. You're not going to get enough value for Hunt or Dillon. I think James Robinson and Jamal Williams are 100% the expendable guys. I mean, I would go through, I'd like to package him with Tyler Lockett. I mean, I would say this reluctantly because I know people are going to hate it. People are very excited about Lockett because he's been good. Geno Smith has been good in Seattle. I can't ignore the production that you've had from the Seattle Seahawks offense, but at the same time, as we said a week ago, and as I'll say again, I do think that we're in a spot where it's Geno Smith. At the end of the day, it's just, there's not going to be a lot of passing volume in Seattle. So I would love to go through and make a move like that. Now, Stabies says 4-2 in a 10-team full PPR format. What should we do about the quarterback spot? We have Goff, Matthew Stafford. Running back, we have Derrick Henry, James Conner, Ramondre, James Robinson. Receiver, we have Kupp, Pittman. Tight end, we have Kelsey. I would love to take Ramondre Stevenson, package him with Jared Goff. Go get a truly elite level quarterback. Go get Hurts. Go get Lamar. Go get, maybe even Justin Herbert with the very down week this week. As we discussed, with Ramondre, locked and loaded running back one. Locked and loaded running back one every single week that we have no Damien Harris, but I think maybe Damien Harris comes back next week and it's a split backfield 50-50 and he goes back to being a low-end RB2. So I would be interested about that. Now, Luis says, hello, it's an 11-team full PPR format where we got Geno, Aaron Jones, Sanders, Kupp, Amari, Williams, Higbee. Should I trade Kupp for Debo and Devonta Adams? I hate trading away Cooper Kupp, but it is a fair price point. It is a fair price point. It is up to you, my friend. I hate doing it, but it is up to you. Patrick says, traded Eckler, Sutton, Evans for JT, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jalen Waddle. Eckler, Sutton, Evans for JT, Amon-Ra. Okay, so going Eckler to JT, call it a lateral move. Eckler's the running back one in fantasy right now. Sutton to Amon-Ra St. Brown, upgrade. Or let's go Evans to Amon-Ra St. Brown, upgrade. Sutton to Waddle, upgrade. Fair deal. It's just dependent on what is Jonathan Taylor when he comes back. When do we get JT? And what is he when he does come back? Now, next donation coming out from Rich, who says, 10-team full PPR redraft league traded Pickens for Pittman. Really good move. Wide receiver core is now Lamb, Evans, Pittman, Michael Thomas. Also have JT, Saquon Goddard. Love the team, my man. And definitely great trade. I'm surprised you're able to trade George Pickens for Michael Pittman. African Lizard says, need your thoughts on Amon-Ra St. Brown rest of season and Devon Duvernay the next few weeks. Amon-Ra St. Brown rest of season, locked and loaded, a wide receiver one. You can be very excited. Now, of course, the issue is going to be at the same time, what happens when Jameson Williams comes back in. Jameson Williams comes back in, maybe we lower our expectations ever so slightly. But no, I still think that he is going to be a wide receiver one rest of season. And with Devon Duvernay over the next few weeks, kind of is what it is. I mean, it's hard to get too excited about Devon Duvernay. Obviously, when Bateman comes back in as well, I would say at that point, maybe you could go through and just drop him. I think maybe you could just drop him. Now, Robert says, Goddard and Montgomery for CMC. Thanks for your input. Love the grind, my man. No, thank you for supporting the channel, and hell to the yes. Hell to the yes. If we're able to trade Goddard and Montgomery for Christian McCaffrey, we're doing that in a heartbeat. Now, League is Bad says, Kyle Pitts was dropped in the 10-team PPR format. We have the most fab. Receivers, we have Jefferson, Diggs, Waddle, London. Running backs, we have Pierce, Sanders, both Bears guys, Hunt and Henderson. Tight end, we have Andrews. Would you drop Khalil Herbert and blow all the fab? Specifically not in a 10-team league where we have Mark Andrews at tight ends. I would be willing to go aggressive. I'd be willing to spend like 60%, 70% of our fab budget to go out there and get Pitts. Obviously, the issue is if the owner dropped him, he probably tried trading him beforehand, and probably nobody's going to give you anything for him. So it's not like we can pick him up and then sell him for a lot immediately. And if you are looking specifically at a team that has Mark Andrews, we're never going to be starting him. So let's not spend 100% of our fab budget on Pitts. You know, I like me some Kyle Pitts. I would go ahead. I'd be willing to go 60%, 70% of our fab budget. But D. Daniel coming out with another massive dono. Thank you so much, my man. Let me answer this. We'll go right back to where we were. It says, hey, Mason, 12-team PPR format where we got Dak, CMC, Cook, Tyreek, Brown, Pitts, the other Brown, Henderson, Madison, Samuel. Should I trade Cook and Pitts for Damian Pierce and George Kittle? Is that a fair move? He also has Aaron Jones, Kirk, and Romeo Doubs. Personally, I think that if we're going from, say, Dalvin Cook to Damian Pierce, it's a clear downgrade, a pretty big downgrade. Even if I'm throwing in the towel and saying that Damian Pierce is much more exciting than we initially gave him credit for. And then if we're moving from Kyle Pitts to George Kittle, looks like Kittle is an upgrade. I mean, Kittle ran pretty much every route possible this past week. But at the same time, I don't know. I think we probably go through. I think we keep Dalvin Cook. I like the idea. In reality, I think you just got to ride it out with Kyle Pitts. I agree. I'm willing to admit it's a tough spot. It is a tough spot to say the least. You have no passing volume in Atlanta, but even with no passing volume in Atlanta, the man still got there with the touchdown. He's still the elite level player. He just turned 21 years old. I'm fine throwing in the towel and saying that we were wrong and Kyle Pitts is way worse than I thought he was going to be. But at the same time, we're not selling him for nothing here. Now, Hiraziko coming out. Akidia, thank you, my friend, for supporting the channel. I'm sorry that I'm an idiot and I cannot read. So should I trade Stefon Diggs and Etienne for Alvin, Kamara, and Brisal? Yeah, so if we have no good running back ones, I'm fine. Obviously, we're getting the downgrade from Diggs to Kamara, getting the upgrade from Etienne to Brisal. Specifically, you're telling us that we have nobody that we can play at running back one that we're excited about. And if that is the case, then yeah, let's go ahead. Let's make the move. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's make the move. Now, Trump coming out says trade away Fournette and Mike Williams for DeAndre Swift and Jalen Waddle. Hell yes. I'd rather have DeAndre Swift than Leonard Fournette. I'd rather have Mike Williams. I'd rather have Jalen Waddle over Mike Williams. So that is going to be a no-brainer trade for me, my friend. I mean, be prepared in these live streams this week to hear a lot of responses of me saying, oh, what we want to do is we want to trade Mike Williams for Jalen Waddle. Keenan says 10-team PBR format. I'm 2-4 with Dak, Swift, Brees, Ramondre, Sanders at running back, Jamar, Hopkins, Godwin, Olave receiver, Kelsey at tight end. Any recommendations? I mean, man, we're going to give you the same advice we've given a couple other people here. Love the team. We're elite everywhere. You know what? I still think we do it. I think we go through, we look to sell Ramondre Stevenson, maybe package him with someone like Miles Sanders. Go get DeAndre Swift. Full PBR format, I think Swift's going to be significantly better than Ramondre the rest of season. Everybody's looking at Ramondre as a must-start top 10 running back. He is when you have no Damien Harris. But I think Harris does come in. Damien Harris eventually splits this backfield. And at the same time, we can say, hell, with him splitting the backfield, Ramondre's not going to be able to be a top 10 running back consistently. Where I think Swift can do just that. But Antonio coming out with another massive donut. Thank you. Says, Lockett, Dillon, Brian Robinson for CeeDee Lamb, Waddle, or Allen. Or am I giving up too much? I think that we are giving up a lot here. Let me revisit your team, my friends. Okay. So let's go back to this team. So it's a 10-team format where we have a lot of depth. We're going through, I mean, this would make it where we're starting Kupp, AJ Brown, and CeeDee Lamb every single week. I'm fine with it, specifically because it's that 10-team full PBR shallow format where we have a loaded roster where we don't really need the depth. I'm okay with it, specifically with that context. I think maybe we're overpaying slightly. Sometimes it's okay to overpay if the trade's going to fit our roster, though, which I do think this does. Now, our next donation coming out from 2K17 Goat says, 2-4 in a 10-team PBR format with Brady, Dalvin, Mixon, Kupp, Waddle, Higgins, Olave, Waller, Hill, J-Rob, Hopkins, Mike Williams, Najee Harris, first-year player, and sad. Okay, I'm sorry to hear this, my man. I think it gets better for you. I mean, with Waddle, obviously, had his groin injury. He had the Tua injury as well. Now that we're getting Tua coming back in, I think Waddle just absolutely crushes. Higgins got injured. Olave got injured. Waller got injured. You had a lot of injuries you had to deal with. DeAndre Hopkins just now coming back as well. I think this team will be significantly better down the stretch. I'm sorry that we are starting off 2-4. Please don't give up on it, my man. I mean, especially if you're drafting injured players to start the year like DeAndre Hopkins, you got to have that long-term outlook. Okay. Now, our next donation coming out from Jesse says, have PBR format, 4-2 record. We have Allen, Jacobs, Singletary, J-Rob, Diggs, Hopkins, MT, Boyd, Zay Jones, Hawkinson, Knox, Hurst. Should I make any moves? I think we already answered this question, correct? Yeah, I think we already answered this question for you, my man. The move that I'm going to be looking to make is try to fix that tight end spot. Just please, please do not be going through and rostering 3 tight ends. if you're rostering 3 tight ends, I can see it with your roster right now. You are severely capping your depth upside of guys like running backs and receivers. I mean, it's going to be much harder to find the next Kenneth Walker if you have 3 tight ends on your team. Now, our next donation coming out from, I believe, Joel says, got off for Justin Jefferson for Kelsey. We have 0 tight ends on the bench. Should we accept? Yes. I put out a video today talking about, all the intriguing tight end options that we have on the waiver wire. Personally, my man, I think you have more than enough to go around. Go trade Kelsey for Justin Jefferson. Go hit the waiver wire for tight end. But we have another Macedonia coming out from Lopez. Thank you, says 1-5 now, finally. Any suggestions, though? Also, my league members don't trade too easily. We have Brady, Kamara, Walker, Waddle, Lamb, Kittle, Montgomery at the flex. On the bench, we have Hopkins, Lockett, Thielen, JT, Najee, Connor, and Dak. Great team. I know it's crazy to say great team when we're 1-5, but if you look at this team, it makes sense why this team started slow. Maybe we had some unlucky matchups, but we had the injury to Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, obviously not startable at the beginning part of the year. You had the injury to Waddle, the injury to Tua. You had the injury to Dak Prescott. You have CeeDee Lamb, so that hurts Dak and Lamb. You had George Kittle at the beginning of the year getting injured. You had DeAndre Hopkins suffering the suspension. You had Jonathan Taylor getting injured. You had James Conner getting injured. You had so many injuries with this roster. It makes sense why you're 1-5, but rest of season, I think you have a crap ton of upside here. I would say, let's roll with what you have. I don't think we even need to make any trades, my friend. All that I would look to do is don't start Montgomery at the flex. Please instead go through and put DeAndre Hopkins in. DeAndre Hopkins, a must-start guy, his first week back in. And also David Montgomery, brutal matchup going up against the Patriots. But we have another Macedonia coming out from Chris. Let me answer this. We'll go right back to where we were with the other question. It says, hey, we're 2-4, 12-team PPR format. Down bad for a running back. The bench depth is mid, but I have Hurts, Singletary, Eno, Jefferson, Terry, Higbee, Amari. What moves should I look to make? I very rarely ever say this, my man. Jalen Hurts, one of my favorite players to target in fantasy football drafts this year. We were talking about the possibility that Jalen Hurts could maybe be the quarterback 1 overall in fantasy coming into this season. I wanted him everywhere. And I think that the days of, and we made entire videos about this coming into the season, the days of wanting to stream your quarterback, those days are over. You don't want to be streaming quarterbacks. You want the elite level guy. We talked about drafting Jalen Hurts. We talked about drafting Lamar Jackson. We talked about drafting Allen. We talked about drafting Mahomes coming into the season, being willing to pay up with those elite level quarterbacks because they're so much better than what you've had in years past. However, specifically, if you're telling me our running backs are Devon, Singletary, and Eno Benjamin, and we don't have much depth behind this roster can't afford to have Jalen Hurts. I hate saying this. Very rarely do I ever. I think we trade away Jalen Hurts. I think you got to move Jalen Hurts. You got to go get a running back, get someone like DeAndre Swift, and then go hit the waiver wire and stream the quarterback position. And hopefully we can go get Deshaun Watson for the end of the season as well. I think that's what we look to do. I hate to give you that advice, my man. I never want to tell someone to trade away someone like Jalen Hurts, but I think you just have to. And really quick, if you have not done so yet, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream. We are 3 likes away from hitting 1,200 likes in the stream. Subscribe to the channel. We live stream every single day. I've not missed a single day of streaming in over 100 days. We're going to stream every day until the end of the year. Now, Chris says 12-team PPR format where we got 2 receivers and a flex. We have Geno, Brees, Deion Jackson, Rachaad White, James Cook, receiver Chase, Debo, Waddle, Bateman, DJ Moore, tight end Kelsey. Any trade ideas or running back 2 suggestions? My man, we got to make a move. We got to go through, try to trade Deion Jackson and someone like DJ Moore or Rashad Bateman. Get any running back 2 that you can. Go get any running back 2 that you can, my friend. Charles says, 12-team full PPR league. Start 3, sit 1 for week 7 and going forward. Swift, Pierce, Stevenson, or Walker. Okay, so the guy that we're going to be sitting this week, I think, is probably going to be Kenneth Walker. We have Walker and Pierce ranked back to back, specifically in a full PBR format. I think maybe you give the slight tiebreaker over in the direction of Damian Pierce. Should you trade for a receiver, hold all four? No, definitely hold all four, my man. And I would say if we were looking to sell someone, Ramondre Stevenson would be the sell. Even if I think he's a must-start top 10 guy this week, I mean, maybe next week when we get Damien Harris back, it's going to be significantly worse. Now, Average Joe says, trade Sutton and CEH for Higgins and Singletary. Probably not. Now, where John says, I have Kupp, Hopkins, Evans, Gabe Davis. Do I shop for another running back? We have Kamara, Walker, but no depth with Montgomery, Brian Robinson on the bench. I mean, if we weren't going through and looking to sell one of these receivers, I would be interested to see what kind of value we could get for Gabe Davis. I'd be interested in it. But that's just because he's our wide receiver 4 and he's not drawing consistent target volume. He's had 2 back-to-back massive weeks where I think we could get a lot for Gabe Davis. If you could package him with someone like James Robinson and go get DeAndre Swift. D. Daniel, thank you. Says, thanks for the help. I feel like I need to move off of Dalvin Cook. Do you like any of the following for Dalvin? Walker and Hunt? Nope. Aaron Jones and Kirk? Nope. Cook and A.J. Brown for ETN and Jefferson? That one's somewhat close just because Justin Jefferson is so damn exciting. In reality, my man, I don't like any of these price points. I mean, with Dalvin Cook, I understand why you would want to move off of him. I mean, he hasn't been great so far. I mean, for Dalvin Cook standards, but even if we go through and look at Dalvin Cook, I mean, the statistics are going to be skewed, obviously, because a few weeks back, he did have the injury where you had Alexander Madison be able to take over for the end of the game. But even with Dalvin Cook being disappointing as of late, I mean, Dalvin still gets you there with like 15 points this past week against Miami in a tough matchup. I would be fine if you wanted to trade Dalvin. I just think we need a little more than this. I do think we need more. Now, Colby says, 3-3, 10-team PBR format, where we have Hurts, Eckler, Pierce, Najee, Pittman, Brown, Kelsey, Myers, Thielen, Judy, Dobbs, Pickens, Derek Carr. What should we be looking to do? Honestly, nothing, my man. I don't really see any sell-high candidates for us. I would keep, obviously, Derek Carr when we have to start him here, when we have no Jalen Hurts this week. But then in the long term, I would go through, I would look to drop Derek Carr, just pick up high upside running back, high upside wide receiver off the waiver wire. We can start Jalen Hurts every week. Yeah, there are no clear sell-high guys on this list for me. I think we're just good to go. Now, Spot says 10-team PBR league, 4-2 record in first place. We have Lamar, Lenny, Sanders, Kupp, Davis, Andrews, Curtis Samuel, Montgomery at the flex. What should we be looking to do? I think we should be looking to upgrade the flex spot. If we get a package, you're not going to get. We've been saying all season to try to sell high on Curtis Samuel. I just think we're going to get absolutely nothing at this point. I mean, if we could go through, if we could sell Curtis Samuel with the depth piece to get a wide receiver that we would like more in the flex, that'd be great. I'm going to repeat myself and say the guys that I really want to go through and trade for. I mean, I would really love to go get Waddle. I would really love to go get Higgins. My opinion, those are going to be the main guys that we're trying to get. Okay. So now our next donation coming out from, I believe Benjamin says, trade Amon-Ra St. Brown and James Robinson for Brees, Keenan, and Hollywood Brown. Yeah, I would do it. I think that upgrade from J-Rob to Brees Hall is so large, I'd do it. Timothy says, advice on the roster. Second place team at PBR. We need a running back, receiver for flex league. Okay, so running back depth doesn't matter at all. We just want to load up on receivers here. We have Herbert, Barkley, Higgins, Kelsey in the flexes. Olave, Mike Williams, Keenan, Gabe Davis on the bench. We have London, Zeke, Jeff Wilson, Alec Pierce. Love the team. Really, the only thing I'd like to do is see what kind of value we could get specifically for Jeff Wilson. I mean, the issue with Jeff Wilson, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, is Tevin Coleman's getting involved. If they're involving Tevin Coleman, you better believe the second that Elijah Mitchell comes back in, Elijah Mitchell is going to be the starting running back here. So I love to sell, especially in a league where you only need to start one running back. Depth, RBs aren't going to be as important. Now, Alexander says, thoughts on stashing Calvin Ridley in a 10-team PPR Dynasty format. Picked up off the waiver wires along with Robbie Anderson. Already have, oh my God, if you can get Calvin Ridley off the waiver wire in a Dynasty format, I love that, my man. I mean, on our Dynasty channel, I made a video last week talking about guys to go through and trade for 2023. And Calvin Ridley was on that list. I mean, if you can get him off the waiver wire, it's just a no-brainer. Now, next donation coming out from Derek says, 10-team PPR format, double flex league. We got Barkley, Walker, J-Rob, Algier. Receivers, we have Diggs, Brown, Amon-Ra, Kirk, Wandale. Tight end, we have Higbee. Want to trade for Brian Robinson or Cordell Patterson? Owner likes, my man, I don't like this deal. Let me try to talk you outside. I mean, talk you off of trading for Brian Robinson. Take you off of trading for Cordell Patterson. Patterson's almost a running back that I did include on the buy low video this week. But the thing is, I think we can have no issue just waiting another week, trading for Cordell Patterson in week 8. We'll only be 2 weeks removed from his eventual return there. I think that'd be exciting. At the same time, we'd be able to have whatever player we would trade for him actually in our starting lineup. So let's look to wait a week on trading for Cordell Patterson. And with Brian Robinson, I understand why you want to trade for him. I mean, the man looked very good on Thursday. He's someone that we all want to root for. But because he looked very good on Thursday, he's someone we all want to root for. You are going to have to pay a pretty high price for Robinson. And I just don't think it's a good idea. He's in a 3-man running back by committee in a piss poor offense. He's in a 3-man running back by committee in a very bad offense. I do not like that idea. Now, our next donation coming out from, we have a massive one coming out from Riley. Thank you. Says, Mason, you are a true fantasy football legend. In my 12-team full PPR format, 3-3, looking to make a move. My current starters are Hurts, Kamara, Nixon, Sutton, Kupp, Evans, Pitts. Any ideas? Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Always coming out to these live streams, my man. And I apologize for this because telling us thank you for your hard work. And in reality, I'm not going to do any hard work at all. I'm going to tell you the same thing we've said with a lot of rosters that added Courtland Sutton. I really like the construction of your team. I really like the balance of it. The only thing I'd be looking to move is maybe a player that I'm not a big believer in Courtland Sutton, and maybe go get someone that I do really like. Maybe go get someone like Jalen Waddle. Go get someone like T. Higgins. If we could make that kind of trade, I would love it. Not a super sexy deal, because obviously we're not really changing anything with the actual roster construction. It's just player for player, which is a lazy thing to say. It's not a massive take, but I think it would be a very exciting move in general. But now our next donation coming out from Gerald. Thank you. Says, 12-team league, 6-0. Should I trade Diggs and JT or Jefferson, and for who? Okay, my man. You were 6-0. We have JT, Diggs, and Jefferson. Why do you think we're 6-0? Probably because guys like JT, Jefferson, and Stefon Diggs put up, I know Jonathan Taylor hasn't, but he will, put up a ridiculous, and I repeat, a ridiculous amount of points. We don't need to be overthinking it. You're good to go. Keep the studs, especially on a 6-0 roster. Maybe you can make the argument, we don't have a lot of depth to go through for the bye weeks. If you're 6-0, I don't care about the bye weeks. I care about what our starting lineup's going to be at the end of the season. So please, my man, sometimes fantasy football is simple. Sometimes fantasy football comes down to, if you have the best players, you keep them. I know it's mind-blowing stuff here. I know I'm a genius, but I think that's what we're going to be looking to do. We have the best players already. We're 6-0. I think we just keep the best players. Now, Gregory says 10-team format, running back upgrade. We have Chase, Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Kupp, Stevenson, Wilson, Montgomery, Dobbins, Hunt, Pierce, Jamal, Singletary. Tight end, we have Pitts and Andrews. Okay, so looking for a running back upgrade. Okay, I was going to say LF. Are you asking us about Leonard Fournette here? If we're looking for a running back upgrade, Ramondre Stevenson, Jeff Wilson are going to be both guys that I'm looking to sell. I mean, with Ramondre, he's a must-start top 10 guy every single week that Damien Harris is out, but I do think that you get Damien Harris back in relatively soon. Damien Harris was at practice last week. So if Damien Harris coming back in, I'd like to sell Ramondre Stevenson when everybody's viewing him as a top 10 running back. If we could go through a packaging with someone like DK Metcalf, I'd be excited about that as well. I mean, here with DK Metcalf, this is a wide receiver we talked about to sell a week ago. Love the player. I'm rooting for Geno Smith. Geno Smith has been good, but if we're going to be realistic with ourselves, I think rest of season, I am not certain that Geno is going to be someone that can provide a ton of passing volume in this offense. So I would really like to make a move like that. And also, we have said that Jeff Wilson is someone that would be fine going through and selling, just given the fact that if we're looking at Jeff Wilson here, Tevin Coleman's getting involved. Tevin Coleman is getting involved. I'm tapping out. I'm saying when Elijah Mitchell comes back, you probably have no real excitement at all whenever we are going to be looking at Jeff Wilson. But now, Kevin says trade Ramondre or Walker for Debo or Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is why we're saying to trade Ramondre St. Brown. I mean, I like the guy. We love him coming into the season. I would trade Ramondre for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, the truth coming out says 10-team PPR format. Quarterback, we have Allen. Receiver, we have Jefferson, Higgins, Olave, London, Dobbs, Hollywood, Deontay. We also have Prescott. Tight end, we have Knox, Hunt, Dobbins, Anderson, McKenzie. 2 flex spots. Need a solid running back 2 or depth 4-2. I think what we look to do is now that we have Josh Allen coming in and, going into the bye, Dak Prescott coming back against the Detroit Lions. We're going to be able to start Dak Prescott. He is going to crush, and I repeat, he is going to crush the Detroit Lions because they are the Detroit Lions. And then at that point, we're going to be able to go through and we're going to be able to package together Dak Prescott after Josh Allen's already through his bye, so we won't need a backup quarterback. Package Dak Prescott with one of those running backs, such as J.K. Dobbins, Darrell Henderson, whoever you want to, and go get a running back upgrade that way. But just wait a week, because I think that you will get that bump up in value with Dak after playing Detroit. Big Jose says traded Hall and Lamb for Saquon Barkley. Receivers are Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Running backs, we have CMC and Swift. I'm fine with it simply because it's a shallow format, 10-team league where we're already loaded up with studs. Arthur says, I traded Melvin Gordon and Odell for Cooks. Clearly looks like a good deal right now. Brandon says 10-team PPR with Ertz, Hall, Walker, Najee, Etienne, Michael Pittman Jr., Kirk, Olave, Deontay, McLaurin, Mooney with Hurts and Schultz. Any recommendations? If we were going to go through, if we were going to look to do anything with this team, it's hard to pinpoint an exact trade because they're really no solid plays. We've had Terry McLaurin as the sell-side player for God knows how long. If we could try to package together Terry McLaurin with another wide receiver, go get that upgrade in the flex, that'd be exciting. It's just hard because I think most people at this point kind of realize, oh, well, we shouldn't have been valuing Terry McLaurin as we were previously. Now, Jeremiah says, in a 12-team PPR league, we have Allen, Jacobs, Walker, Chase, Williams, Ingram, Aaron Jones, Hollywood, Rondell on the bench. Should we try to make a move to get a better receiver or running back? I personally would make a move, go trade Mike Williams for either Jalen Waddle or T. Higgins. We're going to say it over and over again. Just be prepared. Outside of that, I like Jacobs. I like Walker. They're literally my number 1 and number 2 most drafted running backs on Underdog this year, over 700 drafts. We're getting Jacobs in the 7th. We are getting Kenneth Walker in the double-digit rounds. Maybe if you could, I would say go trade Mike Williams and Evan Ingram to get an upgrade at tight end. But the issue is now that we have the Hollywood Brown injury, I think we need a receiver in return. Now, Adam says Lamar, Jacobs, Hall, Walker, Brian Robinson, Godwin, St. Brown, Wilson, Kelsey. Should I trade Ramondre and Godwin for CeeDee Lamb and Romeo Doubs? I like the idea of selling Ramondre, as we've already discussed, but you need significantly more. Like, people are selling Ramondre Stevenson straight up for Deebo Samuel, for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, that's the kind of return we're looking for. Now, Sim says 12-team PPR format. Do I go with Garrett Wilson and Romeo Doubs for Drake London? Hard to get too excited about any of these rookies at this point with their respective offenses not looking as great as you would assume. Can y'all please spam the chat real quick? We have over 1,200 people out here. If you could let me know what you want in the live chat. Would you rather have the combo of Garrett Wilson and Romeo Doubs or Drake London? The combo of Garrett Wilson and Romeo Doubs or Drake London. Now, Trey says, I have Lamb, Brown, Dalvin, Swift, Sanders, Walker. What should we do with the lineup? 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and fly? Love the team, my man. Love the team. No trades. Rolling with it as is. Trailer Park Boys has offered Eckler, Waddle for JT and Michael Thomas. What are your thoughts? I think at this point, maybe you go Eckler, Waddle. Eckler's running back 1 in fantasy. Waddle, I'd easily rather have Michael Thomas. Let's go. Leonardo says, who won the deal? JT, Mike Williams, Michael Thomas, and Dak for Dalvin, Myers, AJ Brown, and Alec Pierce. Okay. So JT to Dalvin, clear downgrade. Mike Williams to AJ Brown, clear upgrade. Michael Thomas, Jacoby Myers, clear downgrade. Dak to Alec Pierce, clear downgrade. I would probably say team 1. I think team 1 won the deal. But Lou says, what moves should we look to make? 10-team PBR format. We have Lamar, Kamara, Cook, Keenan, Pittman, Andrews, Devonta, James Robinson, Etienne, Thomas, Pollard, Madison, and George Pickens. Okay, so if we were really going to make a trade, I mean, it's kind of hard to point one out. I love what we have specifically at quarterback with Lamar Jackson. No backup QP. Tight end, we have Andrews. We have the elite quarterback and tight end stacked up. No backup quarterback, no backup tight end, wasting roster spots here. We're prioritizing high upside running backs and receivers down there on the bench. Guys like Pollard, Madison, Pickens. Great team. If we could trade James Robinson and a receiver like Devonta Smith and go get DeAndre Swift, I would love that. But I don't think you have to do anything. I think you have a great roster. Now, Benjamin says, it's a big one, but should I trade Amon-Ra and James Robinson for Brisal, Keenan Allen, and Hollywood Brown? Going from Amon-Ra St. Brown to, say, Brees. So, you know what? I would make this deal just because I think you're getting a massive upgrade from J-Rob to Brees. Now, Vader coming out and says, should I make any trades? We have Herbert, Eckler, Dalvin, Jefferson, Tyreek, Goddard, Hall, Pierce, Keenan, Walker, Wilson, Montgomery, Godwin, Deontay Pitts, 18 format, yes. 18 format, only thing that matters is getting the highest ceiling player possible. Let's go through, let's package together Dallas Goddard. Let's throw in Damian Pierce. Let's throw in Jeff Wilson Jr. And let's go get Andrews. Let's go get Kelsey. Everybody's going to be loaded at running back. Everybody's going to be loaded at receiver in an 18 format. The way we make our roster stand out is go get that elite level tight end. Now, Yoni coming out with the donation says, should I trust Schultz or drop him for... Trust Schultz. Trust Schultz, please. Real quick, I'm about to piss myself, so give me 1 second. I'll be back in literally a second. Do not go anywhere. Okay. God, the apartment's getting cold. Austin, Texas is getting a little cold front coming through it. But John says, I don't know how, but we're 5-1, 12-team format. We got Jalen Hurts, Aaron Jones, Dalvin, Evans, Cooks, Kittle, Juju, Kirk, Drake, Ramadre, Boone, Josh Reynolds. Anything we should look to do? Great team, my man. I mean, obviously, Aaron Jones not looking that good, but I think Aaron Jones does get better. I mean, as you've heard me say a couple times now, I would be interested to see what we could get specifically for Ramadre Stevenson. I mean, if we are going elsewhere with the team, I mean, the flex spot's very weak. I mean, even wide receiver is a very weak at wide receiver too, where we're playing Brandon Cooks. 5-1 roster if we want to think about long-term upside where we eventually will get back in Damien Harris. Maybe we go through and pack together Ramadre Stevenson and Brandon Cooks for a stud level receiver. Now, Leonardo says, who won the trade? We have JT, Mike Williams, Michael Thomas, and Dak for Dalvin, Jacoby. I know we already answered that one. Arthur says, I traded Melvin Gordon. We already answered that one. Homebody says, I dropped Singletary for Taysom Hill and Jahan Dotson for Latavius Murray. Good move, good move. I just need consistency or a miracle. Plus, I have so many running backs, wide receivers. If you have so many running backs and receivers, I'm fine with it. I do think that Latavius Murray is someone that you need to pick up. I am going to assume that he is not the starting running back going forward, if I'm going to be honest. I think it's still probably Melvin Gordon. What just happened is Melvin Gordon dealing with an injury. I'm assuming that's what happened. Now, Trey says, I have Lamb, A.J. Brown, St. Brown, Dalvin, Swift, Sanders, Kenneth Walker. What should be my go-to lineup? Actually, we just answered this. I feel like, oh, guys, please do not think you need to double up on donation questions. I'm going to answer every single one. I'm going to answer every single one. Just give me a little bit of time. It feels like we're answering every question twice here. Thomas says, would you trade Montgomery for Zeke? No. I think Zeke has a much better week than Montgomery this week, given the matchups, but I don't think we make that deal. Now, our next question coming out from Nico says, looking for a big trade. We have Herbert, Debo, Pittman, Henry, Kamara, Goddard, Flex, Lockett. And then on the bench, we have Moore, Deontay, Drake, Juju. Am I packaging in the Eagles defense? Okay. So if we were looking to make a big deal, if you can trade away the Eagles defense, which obviously we'd rather keep the Eagles defense. I mean, literally, they're one of the best defenses in the NFL. We would. Very hard to make a deal. Very hard to make a deal here. I would be interested in maybe going through a trading for Keenan Allen on a team that has Justin Herbert. Like maybe trying to trade Tyler Lockett, one of these depth wide receivers, for Keenan Allen. Now, Jay Ghetto says Dak, Dalvin, Swift, Chase, Hill, Kittle, Stevenson, Hopkins. 4 and 2. Should we trade Swift and Stevenson for Austin Eckler? I think I'm fine with it if it's a 10-team league. The issue is, I mean, I think if you're trading away DeAndre Swift right now, you are trading at an all-time low. But Jordan says Justin Jefferson and Gabe Davis are on bye. If I can't trade Sutton and Njoku for Waddle, Keenan, Sutton, Jerry, and Juju, who are we starting? We're going to go Keenan if he plays, and then Sutton even if I'm not a big Sutton guy. And then Pitts or Njoku this week, we are going to go through. We're going to be playing Kyle Pitts over David Njoku. We're going Kyle Pitts over David Njoku, even if it is a scary spot. And Kyle Pitts has not looked that great. But now our next question coming out from, I believe, Trailer Park Boys. Thank you. Says, double flex lineup. We got Hurts, Brown, Lamb, JT, Kamara, Kelsey, Keenan, MT, bye week replacements, ETN, Bateman, Rondell, Moore. 3-3, 5th out of 10th. Love the stream events. Thank you, my man, for supporting the channel. I don't see any clear sell-out candidates. We would have said to sell Rashad Bateman earlier in the year. But at this point, you're not going to get anything for Bateman. Sam says got offered Andrews and Pittman for Travis Kelce. What are your thoughts? Take Andrews and Pittman. I mean, Andrews looks very comparable to Kelce right now. And then he says, Allen's on bye. We're 6-0, 14-team league. Who are we rolling with? We got Mariota, Daniel Jones, Jimmy G, or Matt Ryan. Okay, let's go through. I will have these matchups memorized by tomorrow night, but it's Monday night, so you got to give me a little bit of a break here. We don't have these matchups memorized just yet. If we're looking at Mariota and the Atlanta Falcons, Look at this. Going up against Cincinnati. Don't want anything to do with that matchup. The Giants are going up against Jacksonville. That's okay. 49ers. I thought I remember the 49ers having a pretty good matchup here. Going up against the Chiefs. Never mind. I don't want anything to do with that either. And then Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, obviously, quarterback 2 in fantasy this week, had a massive day. I think he's the second quarterback in the NFL in passing yards right now. Maybe we just go Matt Ryan. Maybe after this week, you have to go Ryan. Now, Conrad says we have Allen Lawrence. Running back, we have Chubb, Dillon. Receiver, we have Evans, Waddle. Tight end, we have Ertz, Disley, Flex, Olave, Smith, London, Pierce, Bills, and 49ers defense. Okay, my friend, I don't think we need to make any trades, but we need to be making a move with this roster 100%. You cannot be rostering 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and 2 defenses. Long term, you're going to severely cap your upside with what we can find with running back and receiver depth. So I think after the Buffalo Bills bye week, drop the backup quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. After the Buffalo Bills bye week, drop the backup defense in the 49ers. Go pick up a running back or receiver off the waiver wire. Now, Vern says, 8-team league. We got Hurts, CMC, Wilson, Diggs, Adams, Kittle, Higgins, Williams, Olave, Henderson. What can we do to get a better running back? If we go through trade Mike Williams and Jeff Wilson Jr., go get a better running back that way, go get someone like DeAndre Swift, I would be excited about that. OJ says, trade away Mixon for ETN and Brian Robinson. No, sir. I mean, I like trading for ETN. I think you're paying too much. Besiege says, trade Justin Jefferson for Hall and Kirk. We need a running back. Nope, can't trade away Jefferson, even if I love Hall. Tallis says, 10-team PPR league. We got 3 wide receivers in a flex. Russ, Gino, CMC, Swift, Singletary, Zeke, Eno, Jamal, ETN. Tight end, we have David and Njoku. Need a wide receiver 1. If we need a wide receiver 1, maybe we wait a week. I actually think people are still undervaluing Ezekiel Elliott. Just because people have, gone from, in my opinion, overvaluing him, where we had Ezekiel Elliott as a must-avoid player in fantasy drafts, to now people think he's a low-end running back 3. I think you let Zeke have a good game against the Detroit Lions this week, and then potentially look to see what we could get the following. Tallis says wide receivers are Sutton, Williams, Dobbs, and Dotson. If we could go maybe sell like Zeke and Sutton and go get a truly elite level receiver that way, maybe that would be exciting. And Jeremiah says Jones, Mike Williams for Lockett and Andrews. I would be fine going trading Aaron Jones and Mike Williams for Lockett and Andrews. Now, Christian says 12-team standard league, 4-2. We got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. Good offered CMC, Jamar Chase, or CMC, AJ Brown, and Jalen Waddle. Wait, what? A CMC for Jamar Chase, or CMC for AJ Brown and Jalen Waddle. Other running backs are Saquon Hall, Damian Pierce. Receivers are Kirk, Mooney, Pickens, Alec Pierce. Should I make the deal? Ooh. If we can only start up to 3 wide receivers, I'd be fine trading away Jamar Chase for CMC. This team doesn't need running back production, but knowing that most other teams do, I think we'd be fine with it. I think we'd be fine with it. 20 says, 12-team full PPR league. Should I flip Pittman, Gabe, and Ramadre for Debo and Dalvin? So going from Ramadre to Dalvin, clear upgrade. My opinion, going from Pittman to Debo, clear upgrade. Sprinkling in Gabriel Davis, get the deal done? Yes, let's make the deal. Starters would be Brady, CMC, Cook, Debo, T, Olave, Schultz. Yes, sir, let's do it. Jason says, what do I do? 4-2, 8-team format. We have Lamar, Linney, Aaron Jones, Adams, Godwin, Kelsey, Pickens, Myers. On the bench, we have Duvernay, Myers, and Everett. Looking to make a trade in Everett for a package deal with someone. Yeah, like I said, 8-team league, I wouldn't even roster Everett if we had Kelsey. I think you just package together Everett and then someone like Myers and go get the best wide receiver that we can in return. There should be so many options that are available to us on the waiver wire, specifically in an 8-team format. Now, I believe Gerald says, I was asking if I should trade Diggs trade for Diggs and JT or possibly Jefferson to help the roster. Probably wording. I'm sorry, my friend, if we mess this up. I would say at this point, even though Stefon Diggs, my most drafted player in the first round in underdog drafts this year, I am not. I don't want to tell you to go trade for Stefon Diggs because it's going to be impossible for you to do it. Like, nobody's going to be selling Stefon Diggs. I like the idea of trading for Jonathan Taylor. Let me see if we can find your roster real quick. If we could trade like Sanders and a receiver, if we could trade any of these running backs and a wide receiver on this roster, literally any running back on your roster and any receiver, doesn't matter the combo of them, for Jonathan Taylor, yes, I would do it. Yes, I would do it. But Spencer with the donation says, 14-team league, 2 and 3. We have Allen and Tua. Running back, we have Kamara, Saquon, Etienne. Receiver, we have Sutton, Higgins, Godwin, Pierce. Tight end, we have Schultz and Taysom. I made the mistake of trading Saquon, Tua, Pierce for St. Brown and Olave. Oh my God. Why? If we made this trade right now, like if you're telling me we made this trade today, you need to go to your league chat and ask if it can be reversed. Most likely they're not going to reverse it. In my opinion, they probably shouldn't. But maybe your league mates have a kind heart. Maybe the other owner has a kind heart and they will switch it up for you, because going from Saquon to St. Brown, it's like a massive downgrade. Going from Pierce to Olave, lateral move / downgrade. Throw it in Tua for free, even if we have Josh Allen here in a 14-team league. Giving up that depth is not something we can do. I would go to your league, ask in the chat if this can be reversed. They're probably going to say no. They probably should say no, but who the hell knows? But Christian says 12-team PPR format where we have Mahomes, Swift, Montgomery, Hopkins, Pittman, Waller, Dillon, Wilson, Henderson, Michael Thomas, Bateman, Josh Reynolds. Any advice on moves to make? I think it's a fine team. I would be looking to go through and see what we could get for Jeff Wilson Jr. in particular. If we could pack together Jeff Wilson Jr. and another player like Darrell Henderson, you get a long-term running back upgrade that we're excited about. That'd be fine. Very worried about Jeff Wilson Jr. whenever we're looking at Tevin Coleman getting involved, knowing that if Tevin Coleman's getting involved, you better believe that you are going to have Elijah Mitchell as a starting running back when he comes back. And also, side note, Josh Reynolds is on this roster. I think you can cut Josh Reynolds. Amon-Ra St. Brown back, DeAndre Swift back, DJ Shark back, Jameson Williams coming in later. Cut Josh Reynolds. I promise you can find a better waiver wire option that we had on the video today. But Justin says, current team 5-1. Brady, Fournette, Pierce, Brees, Diggs, A.J. Brown, Williams, Higbee. Any advice on what to improve on? I think if we can trade Mike Williams for Higgins, trade Mike Williams for Waddle, that'd be great. Outside of that, good team. No real sell-high candidates for us. We're making that one consolidated bet. Or maybe go try to trade Mike Williams for Godwin or Evans when we have Tom Brady as well. Nico says we missed this question. No, we did not, my man. You just had to be a little bit more patient with us. We did answer that question there. Now, Bubba Fett says 10-team league. Quarterback, we have Kyler. Running back, we have JT Mixon. Receiver, we have St. Brown, Sutton. Tight end, we have Kelsey, Flex, Brisal. And then on the bench, we have Jamal, James Robinson, Olave, Walker, Myers. Should I trust Sutton or should I trade for an elite level receiver? My man, I'm not a big Sutton guy. I've never been a big Sutton guy. If we could go through, if we could package together, say, James Robinson and Courtland Sutton and go get a wide receiver upgrade, that'd be great. Maybe package Jamal Williams and Courtland Sutton, go get a wide receiver upgrade, that'd be great. You have a lot of running back depth with Kenneth Walker breaking out. I would really like that. Okay. Now, our next donation coming out from, I believe, Mina says, Swift, Ramondre Pitts for Mixon and Hall. What are your thoughts? Swift, Mixon, call it a lateral move. Going Ramondre Pitts to Brisal. Love it. Let's go get Brisal. Pipe says, I have Waddle, Kirk, Deontay, Ayuk, and Allen Lazard. With Kirk's recent performance, should I consider starting Allen Lazard instead? I would be fine with it if we have the Randall Cobb injury as well as the injury to Christian Watson. Now, Stizward says, trade Barkley for Jefferson and or A.J. Brown for Kamara, or both. Yes, I would do both. If we can trade essentially Barkley and A.J. Brown for Jefferson and Kamara, I do think that makes sense. Julio says, traded Sutton and D. Robinson. Is this supposed to be Brian Robinson? Assuming it's supposed to be Brian Robinson for Damian Pierce. Win or loss, the team is Eckler, Mahomes, Jacobs, Jefferson, Amon-Ra, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan, Goddard. I like it. I feel like we could have gotten potentially more, but I do like the deal. Like I said, I think Brian Robinson is that clear sell candidate. Now, Gavin says, I listened to you. I got Brisal for Jeff Wilson and Olave. Is that a W? 100% a W. Love the deal, my man. Jesus says, Burrow, CMC, Walker, Cup, Higgins, Everett, Mike Williams. And then on the bench, we have Pitts, Boone, Harris, London, Gallup, Thielen, Gibson, Tua. Any trades? No real trades. I would say what we could look to do is drop Mike Boone, pick up Latavius Murray, take out Gerald Everett, and slide in Kyle Pitts into your flex spot. I mean, maybe we could trade Mike Williams for Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins. I mean, you already have Higgins, though, but you've heard me say that a million times now. L Maverick says, desperate 1-5, 12-team league. Any sell-high left in JT, Aaron Jones, or Deebo Samuel. We also have Brisal, Waddle, St. Brown, Ertz, Myers, Hopkins, Elijah Mitchell. Okay, so now that we're getting Hopkins back, now that we have the Brisal breakout, we have Waddle back from his injury, Tua back from his injury, St. Brown back from his injury. This will be a much better roster going forward. I would sell Jonathan Taylor on a 1-5 roster if it looks like he's going to miss this week again. But if he's looking to play this week, then no, you can't sell him. He's still a running back that can very easily be the running back one in fantasy. Obviously, if he were to miss, though, hard to not sell an injured running back on a 1-5 team where we need points immediately. Thomas says, non-PBR 4-2, start Kyler, Emery, Montgomery, Evans, Lockett, Kelsey, Myers. Bench, we have Dobbins, Thielen, Woods, Njoku, Samuel, DJ Moore. Any trade ideas? My man, when we have Kelsey, David Njoku's doing nothing for us here. If we could patch together David Njoku with someone like Jacoby Myers in that flex spot, go get a better wide receiver for a team that needs a tight end, I think that would be nice. You don't need a backup tight end when you have Kelsey. Young Visionary, love to see out here. Says 12-team PBR format. What are your thoughts? We got Geno, Keenan, Gabe Davis, Curtis, Andrews, JT, ETN, Josh Reynolds. On the bench, we have Carr, Dotson, and McKenzie. I really don't like this team. Drop Josh Reynolds. Find someone better off the waiver wire with everybody coming back in Detroit. Maybe try to trade Gabe Davis for either T. Higgins or Jalen Waddle. Send up a prayer that Keenan Allen comes back because that's what we're going to need. This team hinges on the health of Keenan Allen. Now, AJ says 14-team PBR format, desperation flex. We're going to go Curtis Samuel or Alec Pierce. Oof. Obviously, desperation here. Alec Pierce going up against Tennessee. Curtis Samuel going up against Green Bay. If John Dodson and Logan Thomas miss, you go Curtis Samuel, even though he looked horrendous on Thursday. Joseph says trade Olave for Jerry Jeudy and James Conner. Desperate at running back. Yes, if you were desperate at running back, we can think long-term here with James Conner. Even if he will probably miss this week, I'd be fine with it. MGM Productions coming out the dono. Thank you, says. We got Jalen Hurts, Dalvin Cook, Hall, Gordon, Diggs, Pittman, Lazard, Cooks, Boyd, Juju, Goddard. Any moves I should look to make? Should I buy low on Bateman or Edmonds? Not Edmonds. I mean, Edmonds, the usage is very concerning. I mean, no, you can't buy low on Edmonds. If you were to buy low on Bateman, I wouldn't fault you. Like, I'm not a massive Bateman guy. Like, we were saying to sell high on Bateman earlier in the year, but now that Bateman is dealing with that injury over the past few weeks, now that Bateman has given you absolutely nothing, I think that, honestly, maybe you could go through and sell buy Rashad Bateman because the price is going to just be significantly, and I repeat, significantly cheaper. It is interesting. Yeah, I think you could buy Bateman now. And Homebody says Lamar, Cook for Brady, Mixon, and Olave. Cook to Mixon, called a lateral move. Lamar to Brady and Olave, hell no. Please keep Lamar. You got to keep Lamar, my dude. But I think that's all we got for this live stream. Of course, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, for supporting the live stream. I do truly appreciate you. Hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night. If you don't know, we live stream every single day. I've not missed a day of live streaming in over 100 days. Not going to miss a single day of live streaming until the end of the season. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to come out and hang out with us in these live streams going forward. Thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you in the live stream tomorrow night.